Back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Raleigh Major in North Carolina. My name is Flynn. I'm joined by Emzo. Heading into the day, North America had 4 shots to make it to the main stage. 2 of them have now been eliminated and sent packing. We have 2 more shots for North America here on home soil. We're getting ready to roll with DarkZero versus FaZe, and after this will be TSM versus MIBR. It's been a tough day for North American fans already. 2 games down, and they didn't look all that close.
That's why we had to bring extra. There was 5 teams, by far more than any other region, but they're getting knocked out one at a time, and now is the chance to try and knock out some of the Latin American teams to see if we can equalize it a little bit, but it's not going to be easy for DarkZero because this is up against FaZe, which is one of the teams that does a little bit better at LAN than some of the other Latin American teams. So they're definitely going to have an uphill battle because DarkZero don't usually make it all that far either. So who will knock out who? I'm definitely curious. I don't really have a solid prediction on this one even. I could see DarkZero doing it, but I could also see them choking, and FaZe just doing Latin American things on them. Could go either way.
Yeah, that's the big thing is DarkZero's performance heading in, the first game against Fnatic, they look unstoppable. They look like a resurgence. They look like a brand new DarkZero team. You fast forward a day, their game against FaZe looks anything but routine, anything but clinical, anything but a revived DarkZero. And on the flip side there, FaZe as well against FaZe looked like ghosts of themselves. They were able to at least take it to 3 maps on the back of some comebacks.
To be fair, FaZe is making everyone look like ghosts at this point.
It's very true. Also in the FaZe versus Fnatic game from yesterday, that was also a troublesome game considering FaZe's poor starts to each map over and over and over and over and over again. Every map they've played so far here in Raleigh, they've been down at the half.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the DarkZero roster, though. The North American representative is looking to make it to the main stage. It's Nyx, Mint, BC, Hot and Cold, and Hyper. Same team that took down Fnatic and sent them packing to the losers portion of the bracket, and then FaZe. Yeah. Oh, baby.
We saw a lot of work from Hyper yesterday. Definitely one of the star players and the later joiners to the team, but Nyx, I think, underwhelmed a little bit. I expect maybe we'll see a bit more of him today. But he is definitely a great player as well, though he's changed up roles somewhat, it seems, playing a little bit more flexible. But that definitely helps the team in terms of support. It's helped them kind of at least get as far as they have gotten. But I expect maybe a little bit more out of Mint as well, but we've seen BC also have some stellar plays, although he's not usually their top fragger, but he is definitely handy in a clutch, we've noticed.
Absolutely. For DarkZero as well, this is their first ever major, and they have an opportunity to make it to the main stage right here and right now against one of the best Latin American teams and one of the best international play teams in the entire world.
Yeah.
Playing a little bit below what I think all of our expectations are for their caliber of play, but you take those. You take what you can get.
The rough part for them is losing 2 rivals that they know in those first 2 matches, EG and Rogue, means if they go through further, it's up against more unknowns. As you said, this is their first major, but let's look at their opponents. FaZe Clan, Mav, Astro, Cameraman, Yuna, and Ion. All of these guys showing up individually at different times. Mav, kind of my highlight player at the moment, but I gotta say every single one of these guys has stepped up as much as they can, but now the chips are down.
Absolutely. And this team, like I said, their first game against FaZe, shaky. The beginning to the game against Fnatic, shaky. What kind of FaZe are we going to see in the first 3 rounds? Is it going to be the same FaZe that comes in and looks like they're asleep at the wheel for the first half of the first map? Or is this going to be a FaZe that's finally going to start on time?
I think they are definitely going to have to make sure that they are warmed up and ready to just maybe even play a little bit aggressive. I mean, based off how slow their starts have been, I'd almost like to see a spawn peak for first round for them just to set the tone against DarkZero, because DarkZero are not a team to really be messed with. They tend to have a very good, calm style of play that has a lot of surprises for the enemy team. And whereas FaZe is going to be playing a little bit more loose and fluid, so the better they can set that tone early, the better that'll work out for them. As you said, that slow start not really helping them in their previous matches. Fnatic even looking like they were going to run away with Bank yesterday, just taking them time to get warmed up. You can't afford to throw that many rounds when you're at the process of elimination here. You just need to set that pace as early as possible, establish your dominance basically on the other team. Especially since this is not their first LAN event. They've been to, I think, more at this point than DarkZero, but on the stats to back that up. But we're going to go to Border first, Villa and Bank, so not going to see a repeat of Bank. Looks like they decided that wasn't their map.
Border Coastline,
Ooh.
Strong pick there from DarkZero. That's a map that's notoriously one of their more favorable ones, and as well, probably a weaker one for FaZe overall. Clubhouse going to be banned away, so we're not going back to Club. We have one more ban. We'll get it decided. It's either Yeah, it's not going to be consulates. It's going to go to Kafe should we require 3 maps. And I keep saying, yeah, we're going to need 3 maps. All these games, no matter what, we're going to need 3.
Yeah.
2 2-0s today, 8 2-0s yesterday.
We are running out of third maps to be played, apparently, it seems, because they're just, no one wants to go that long. Everyone's trying to just get out of this early, and I hope teams aren't burning themselves out before the main stage.
As well as the Bank ban there. I thought that was interesting because we talk about Bank being notoriously one of the better Latin American maps and a better map for FaZe overall.
Yeah.
However, Bank is, I think Jordan Bacon, their coach of DarkZero, tweeted that they are 48-1 on Bank right now.
Jeez.
I don't know what that is including. We saw the records there for Border leading to the side of FaZe right now just because DarkZero don't play it as much.
No, DarkZero, last time I remember them playing it in Pro League, they just got destroyed on it by, I think, Luminosity. Was not a good match for them at all. Hopefully they've learned from that, but I think that's probably why FaZe picked it. They saw that it's a weaker map for them. Coastline, on the other hand, is a pretty decent map for DarkZero, so they're going to have to try and make a good impression on Border to make sure that they have at least some leeway if they lose that first map, that they don't get too tilted or feel too far behind, because not every team can reset very well between maps. See, Jordan, as you mentioned earlier, he's in good spirits right now. Let's hope he can keep those up. Obviously, he's not the one at the keyboard and mouse, but he had been formerly. He is a pro going back to year 1.
Yep.
But definitely been around for a while, and so has many other members of the team been around for quite a while. Mint going back to year 1 as well, and BC's been around for quite some time.
Never forget Ominous.
Yes, never forget.
I don't know why that's the team out of all the teams that were like around for 1 season in Pro League. I don't know why Ominous always remains the roster that's like never forgotten. But
it's because they made such a huge impression and then faded away as a lot of the team got split up. I believe BKN and BC were both on that team. If I recall correctly. So
Jarvis, Chap.
Jarvis was here for a moment.
Was a sub.
Unfortunately.
And I can't remember who the 5th was.
Yeah. Slips my mind.
Oh, it was Brian.
Brian, that's right, before he started moving around, going to SSG twice and all that.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It's Border. It's map number 1 and a best of 3 between FaZe and DarkZero, just as we had at the end of the day yesterday. These are elimination matches. 1 will go on to the group stage should they win. 1 will head to the stands to watch on and maybe have a little bit of regret as to how they performed in the group stage. A Thermite ban coming out first in the hands of DarkZero. We then move over to FaZe's attacking ban. They're going to get rid of a Capitao. No shock there. We've seen Cap banned quite a lot this week.
The Thermite bans are always interesting, seeing whether or not the Habana is sloppy enough to get that wall open, because there's just a lot of ways to kind of mess with the ability to try and get those X-Kairos lined up well enough to actually make something work. And so the Thermite ban always makes armory attacks just kind of more difficult and usually a lot more time-consuming, really. Because, there's ways to deal with the batteries and things like that when those get put on the walls, but just trying to get the wall itself open when you have to line up X-Kairos perfectly is hard. Echo going as well, so that means Maestro going to be a big part of, I imagine, a lot of these defenses. But you never know. Some teams don't bring them out when they have the opportunity for some weird reason. But I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think we'll see a fair bit of Maestro.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see Maestro every round, honestly. You can't understand how powerful the Alda is and also how powerful those Evil Eyes are.
I want to see if we see Mint bring any kind of shield play at all, as well as since none of it's banned.
We saw a little bit of that yesterday
from
them against Fours, and it didn't really work out that well. I think it was because it was the Montane instead of the Blitz.
It's also against Fours, but yeah.
It's also against Fours, yes.
Well, to be fair, Blitz got a fair nerf before this. Like, his hipfire not in a good place anymore for him, and so I can understand why you wouldn't want to try that. Nice 6 pick over to the Thatcher there to try and help get the wall open a little bit sooner. Just that you just don't want to have to go underneath, because then, of course, that plays into their hands, because then they know you have to go underneath to try and clear out any kind of utility stopping it. But in this case, they didn't even bother. They were like, we're not going with any Bandit, no Kaed, no Mute. They're just going to play the wall as is. In fact, I imagine they're kind of open up part of it. They haven't done it yet. They haven't reinforced it yet either. But it is typical when you're going to give up the wall a lot of times to open up half of it, give yourself line of sight to be able to fight across that balcony, give yourself a little bit of edge, because you can peek around the corner right by the bomb sometimes to get some nice angles. They can also play a little bit from the small office if you leave some of that soft. Man, looking like he's maybe looking for a good position to set up some cameras downstairs here. He might even be the one to go roam downstairs. You usually at least want to have one person downstairs. It's very time-consuming to hunt them down, especially if you're not bringing a Jackal or anything else, which in this case FaZe are not.
I can't remember which game it was, but we did have a game earlier on in the group stage that you and I casted where Map was border. Thermite was banned on it as well. I believe it might have been the FaZe 4's game, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong on that one. Anyway, Thermite was banned, and we saw a lot of teams extending into CCTV and noted that, yeah, you could probably bunker up a little bit more because it's only the Hibana available. You can reinforce the armory wall and really force them to come attack you instead of trying to hold multiple areas of the map with that Thermite being banned. But for right now, looks like DarkZero extending a little bit into CCTV. We saw Nyx, Hyper, and Mint all amassed around the CCTV entrance and the rotates that they've made in and out by Break Room and by the Cubby. Fountain rotates as well, so the setup here for DarkZero on the defense, pretty fluid. A lot of mobility and a lot of mobility operators as well. There's no one really being tied down to one specific spot other than hot and cold.
Yeah. We're working on, I was going to say working on getting CCTV open, but Astro opening up Mint's skull instead. It's going to start things off nicely, and that means a C4 off the board if it wasn't already used somewhere. Nice deployable shield, actually, interesting in the hallway there. We're seeing so many bullet peek holes now. You saw that one Nyx is peeking. That seems to be kind of the trend at this event overall. We've seen pretty much every match involve a lot of those little bullet peeks. Not sure if there was just a lot of times we weren't catching those before, but I feel like it's just been very prevalent in this event. But Ion taking on Hyper, and then Cameraman on Nyx. This is not looking good for DZ.
Big surge into CCTV here for FaZe, and they collect 3 bodies to the grave for it. So a 5v2 advantage onto BC and hot and cold. First smoke will come out from BC just to smoke off the rotate, give him possibly covered visibility to make it back into Archives, but instead he's going to head towards Fountain. Still challenge on the long angle into Break Room. He's got 2 members, Ion, I believe Astro. There goes Ion though, there goes the Nomad. Already had a couple air jabs down, but still a tall hill to climb here for DarkZero.
Definitely something they can fight, though. They are a bit spread out. You have one covering offices and the other one just staying alone inside lockers. And he's got a long angle with the ACOG at least to be able to fight in a lot of bullets, but he actually rotates down. He's a slow operator. This could cost him the match right there, although takes a lot of damage in the process, but not finished off. And there is the finish onto the smoke. Hot and cold. I don't think you're pulling this off. And nope, Mav says goodbye.
One shy of a flawless round there for FaZe, and I said I wanted them to start better than they have in the last 2 games that we've seen them play and cast, and oh baby, that's a much better start.
Yeah, that'll definitely do it right there. Just a lot more aggression when it mattered, but they never really overextended themselves. That's what I liked about FaZe right there. They took control of areas, but they never really pushed in when they didn't need to. Slowly took presence, found picks when they could find them. DZ often getting caught a little bit out of position or just not ready for some of the push from FaZe. I gotta imagine there was some decent droning coming out from FaZe, at least in terms of identifying whether or not someone was gonna be playing in an area. And I wonder if the intel just wasn't there. I don't know where Mint's cameras were, but it didn't seem like DZ really had an idea where a lot of the FaZe presence was coming from to be able to fight it. We also might have missed some lost gunfights that they did see coming, but just overall it seemed like DZ kind of caught a bit with their pants down. I like the idea of some of the rotates towards the end there, but they just didn't have the manpower to make it work. Had they gotten a few more trades, I think that could have been around DZ could have saved, but the smoke alone certainly wasn't going to defend that upstairs.
No, the rotate there from hot and cold was the perfect cue for FaZe to just start burning.
Yeah. You know there's one guy left, just barrage him.
And it's a smoke too, you know, BC's gonna have to be reloading that SMG-11 quite a lot.
Right, you'll get 1 kill maybe.
Yeah, it's one burst at a time really with the SMG-11, and unfortunately for BC, just didn't have the firepower or the manpower really to back up a storming of the gulag there from FaZe in through the armory door. So for FaZe Clan here, beautiful start, I will say. DarkZero gonna run it back again, stretching into CCTV, and is still playing quite the fluid playstyle. I imagine Mint's not going to get caught out on that long angle from Break Room again, because that was all the way outside the Break Room door into radio. That's a long angle.
A lot of those shots tend to happen, you know, where it's just a lot of times pre-fires through those doors or through the windows leading towards offices, just get random kills, and it's like, if you're the attacker, might as well.
CC hold looking mighty identical to the last one we just witnessed for DarkZero as well. For FaZe here, it's about getting that opening pick. We talked about it in the game against Fnatic for them, where they were constantly standing around looking for an opening pick to be gifted to them. They got one last round by Mint peeking. Concussions and the impacts coming out of the lifeline from Astro here just to open up more visibility on the rotates that DarkZero have made towards 90. Nobody from DarkZero exposing themselves unnecessarily, and this is a much better hold thus far for DarkZero inside of CC. It's stalling out FaZe, and Hotten's going to start things off out of the west balcony, taking down Yuna. There goes the Hibana, so that's all hard breachers lost now.
That's a good start for them, and it's going to force them to have to play a little bit differently. I mean, you don't necessarily need a hard breacher in that if you can manage to catch an opportunity where the Maestro's not watching the armory wall, you could sledge it open or even hit with the Zofia lifeline. But they are lacking. Oh, nice kill by Hyper. They're defending the heck out of this CCTV, and finish off with the Maestro Evil Eye onto Astro. It's just down to Cameraman and Mav. This is without the Valkyrie cameras, giving that additional intel as well.
One pushing in from the top of these stairs, one still outside the CC balcony, and right now for DarkZero, it's about continuously holding the angles. Mint will be down by a frag grenade, but he's the dog. He can boost himself back up. Another frag grenade comes soaring in. We'll take no more health off of Mint.
Off of Hyper instead, it looks like.
Outside on the balcony is still twisting around, and there goes another one. Mav to fall. Cameraman now in a 1v5, a possible flawless round to throw back in the faces of FaZe here on the hands of DarkZero.
I hope this is going to be indicative of what we'll see throughout this match, this back and forth. I mean, it's not over yet, but it's looking pretty good for DarkZero to close this out, especially with Hot and Cold holding this tight angle here. Doesn't have to. Hyper finishes it off. Flawless round. So that is one-upping FaZe's inability to get the flawless round last round.
Much better hold inside of CC this time, and I do like that swap from Mint off the Valkyrie to the Doc. You noted that no cameras for the intel, but it's border. You have a general feeling, no matter what happens, just by them shooting default cameras or hearing where the gunshots are coming from, where most of their players are going to be amassing for which take it's going to be.
Lockdown entrances, basically. Yeah. You saw the way that they were fighting, for example, the CCTV entrance. It was like, and then the Maestro holding the corner there through the wall. There was just, it was more like, we're gatekeepers at this point. We're not going to try and hunt you. We don't need the intel. We're just going to peek you as soon as we know you're coming in. They'll try customs, though, interestingly, not going to vents. This is I guess, typical DarkZero going to the offsites, but this could cost them around if it's not the play, because customs hasn't been one maybe as often as you think it would be. Vents is definitely a bit more reliable, but I suppose that's what DZ's counting on, is that they're going to A, predict vents, and B, might not have as many good solid attack strats for customs.
Bomb located by attackers.
Yeah, the ventilation and workshop hold has been pretty reliable. I think almost on the level of Armory for this week so far at the event here in the Major, and this is a little bit of an odd one. We've seen a bathroom tellers once that didn't work out, and that was the only time we saw a bathroom teller this entire.
It surprises me. I would have expected Giants to have pulled it out at some point, but I think they've just decided that's not the thing to do, because maybe it's just they've showed it too much in Pro League. Decided they don't have any real good spins on it that they're going to use here. So.
Cam in position.
Oh, I hope that was pre-planned and not trying to aim it right onto that ledge. I don't think he was, but that's the thing about when you have throwables, you have to spend time practicing exactly which pixel to look at to get the arc just right. So I imagine that probably was intentional.
A lot of role swaps here for DarkZero as well. You've got Nick going over to the Bandit BC now, taking in the Legion instead of Hyper, and Hyper onto the Valkyrie, Nick's onto a Jaeger, so we're getting a full rotation.
It's like similar ops, but totally different players.
Looks like FaZe are stacking right now for an office clear. Push their way over from the east side inside of offices and take down Armory, because obviously you want to get to CC, and we've seen this before from FaZe on board. This was against fours, where they would start with office, push their way to Armory, and then clear to CCTV. One of the rounds they got stalled out quite heavily inside of Archives, trying to get through reinforcements and castle barricades. No such utility being brought by DarkZero this time around, so I imagine FaZe's mobility and their ability to progress through Armory should be much swifter this time.
It's just a matter of clearing out the rooms before they enter, because it's more just like DarkZero shooting at doorways and entrances, and that's really what's locking them out, far more than just reinforcements. And that the soft walls can be used in by FaZe to open things up. They are trying to at least fight a lot of these angles, but that's the thing, is DarkZero set most of these up, so they have control at the moment. Nick's going to rotate out, but decides against it. That actually would have been a good pick. He was prone facing the other direction, but Nick thinks better of it regardless. He's got a shield up there on the desk as well to try and help.
Right now for Nick, it's about staying alive inside of CCTV, not really going for the picks. He needs the rest of his team to kind of jump in and support him.
Absolutely.
If he's the first one to fall, then all of a sudden top control above the objective is surrendered, and that's a bad time. The vault in, but Nick's right on top of it, prone in behind the monitors. There goes Cameraman, now Hot and Cold, baiting a run here, trying to support his friend inside of CCTV, but BC's got it handled over towards the break door. Hotton does eventually go for the run. BC low on HP, and they don't have the dock this time. Astro's maneuvered his way in, but not for long, as Mint will cut one down, another one for Mint now on the MP7, and it's suddenly all up to Mav. This could be back-to-back flawless rounds, as Mav is pushing just outside of the objective, now working his way over to Workshop. He does not have the diffuser, and the hatch gets open, a drop here, so a flawless round denied, as Hot and Cold will meet his maker. But there's still 4 more to find. No diffuser, and everyone from DarkZero is about to collapse upon Mav in the main hallway.
That was the second air jab, I think, that went off as well, and none of them actually leading to any kills because they don't have any manpower left to act on them. So the Roamer's kind of given free reign here to move around, and that's just going to leave Mav spinning his head, hoping he doesn't get hit from behind. Just trying to follow gunshots, but all they've got to do is bait him now at this point. 20 seconds, he doesn't have the diffuser. They don't even have to engage him. Just keep him wondering, am I safe to move forward? And he's not. Hyper shuts him down. Another great round by DarkZero on what is typically the off-bomb site. Now they can go to vents, secure in the knowledge that they defended customs successfully.
Beautiful round there from DarkZero all around, and I think in the first round they tried to overextend a little bit and take engagements that weren't really necessary, and immediately read into the failures of that methodology, and have now turned their attention towards, let's hold back a little bit, because FaZe, same kind of syndrome that they had against Fnatic, where it was, we gotta wait for that pick to be presented to us.
Yeah.
We can't push in and force it to come. And that's been a big problem for FaZe throughout the entire week so far, is driving play. They're waiting for the play to come to them instead of being the initiators and pushing in with aggression and purpose.
They're not really bringing any operators that are necessarily going to help them push. It's more just like flank control, like Nomad, and utility operators. They're not doing anything that says, we're going to get into this room and clear it. Like, I don't know, even a Jackal Lion to be able to stop them in place, Doka be able to at least hear where they are. They're just not doing much to do that, and so they're walking into gunfire time after time. This will be interesting though. Bathroom Tellers is actually going to come out here. DarkZero, as we said, this is the team that likes to play the offsites. They've kind of cooled on doing that a little bit, I think, this season, but they definitely were saving some of that for LAN, I think, and they always spend a lot of time really just coming up with new ideas. They are one of the more creative North American teams in that sense. We'll see if it works though, but either way, they have vents as a fallback, but they could go back to Armory Lockers after this regardless.
You know, the more you talk to coaches and players around these major events and these LAN events, there's always talk about strats that you've saved, strats that you've kept in the back pocket.
Yeah, pocket strats.
Exactly. And honestly, the more you talk to them, the more they're a little sad, and sometimes they don't get to use them because they put in so much work scrimming them and developing them over time, and then, I mean, this is a perfect opportunity for DarkZero to pull it out, and FaZe to pull out anything they've had hiding in the shadows for a while, because this is elimination. This is do or die. This is, you're either going home, you're sitting and watching the rest of the major, or you're playing on the main stage.
Yeah, you got to pull out the pocket strats. Now, you've got to make sure that all the VODs they spent time watching aren't going to give them anything, and force them to just face check like they've been doing to an extent. I would like to see a slight bit more drone denial, but they have two good drone denial operators already, which is the Mozzie and the Vigil. The Vigil, of course, only denying for himself, but that does force them to have to search around quite a bit more when you don't know exactly what floor he's on. Yes, there's only 2 floors, but it still matters. See a lot of drone attempt coming out here. Even Yuna just not sure how to approach this. They're looking for any opportunity here to try and push in a site. In fact, they're probably thinking, can we just go for a quick plant? I think they're deciding against it right now, though.
Yeah, it's a common bait to have Teller's wall wide open, and then obviously play the kill holes from above inside of office. You need to at least clear out some of these anchors inside of office that are playing the kill holes, because they'll have full visibility of sight. There's nowhere safe you can plant inside of Teller's, or even bathroom, with the amount of kill holes they have, and their full setup inside of office. So for FaZe, they looked at it and said, yeah, okay, this is not going to work. And actually, as I say that, it looks like FaZe are actually going to attempt this. Burling in, and there goes Yuna trying to put a plant down in behind the vending machine, and a frag grenade kill for Mav. Plant still going down here as Nyx will take aim, and multiple members for DarkZero to fall as Hot and Cold gets one onto Yuna. So that stops the plant attempt, but in a 2v4 now. Hot and Cold taking more damage. Cameraman low on HP, and FaZe now stalled out momentarily. Cameraman solo pushing topside with the rest of the attack for FaZe. Continues to push in downstairs and try and force this plan out. Hot and holding the angle, and there goes Cameraman on the rotate upstairs. So that's all your top 4 pressure. Hyper's made his way down to Passport as well, while Hot continues to play the kill holes from above. There's a lot of good play here from DarkZero in a survival situation.
Definitely angle play. They're just trying to work any angle they can, because none of the opponents are really all that close to each other. That's diffuser drop, again, pretty much in the same spot. That's just baiting the last two to try and approach it, but Hyper just fighting it out. It's the roam play working out here because they're not droning anymore because they don't have the time to. They're too busy trying to get the diffuser, and that works against them. FaZe with a great attempt at trying to sneak in a plant there, and it almost worked. They tried to distract as much as possible to get that down. Had they pulled it off, I think that could have been a good round, because you would have had people from DarkZero throwing their bodies off the balcony trying to make plays, because it's such a tight spot to try and fight against anyone outside. You would have had air jabs and things like that as well. So I like the idea behind trying to sneak a plant in there, but that's a common spot. Like, yes, maybe they didn't stop it right away, but they know where it's at. They know where you're going for. You're either going that or one of the corners near the teller windows. So nice try, but very well shut down by DarkZero. And then the last two roamers just playing very smart, playing off the fact that there wasn't a lot of intel from FaZe because they didn't spend time clearing on where they were positioned. And you saw both of them catch players from FaZe by surprise, and then the angle play from above through the hatch, able to deny the diffuser getting anywhere near sight at that point.
And that's the thing, it was a common bait. We're going to tack time out here from FaZe so they can talk things over. For FaZe there, I mean, they fell right into a trap that DarkZero was laying for them. And that's probably one of the most common traps of all on that bomb site, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get away with maybe like a workshop-only push. So you're pushing from the west side of the building in towards bathroom from workshop. And you might be able to get a plant down there, but again, the kill holes from above are going to be so annoying.
Yeah.
They're going to be so powerful. You're going to have perfect view over everything.
Well, those are both very small bomb sites, too, so it's not hard to find someone in there. You're not going to find a good hiding place. Can't crawl under a desk and plant, something like that. Yeah, there are some corners, but those are going to be predictable spots then, because they're the only real spots that aren't super exposed. You almost need to plant somewhere really weird in those rooms to get away with it. Yuna could actually be going with this Monty here. He's going to see if he can show Mint how to play a shield, but I don't know, after some of the shield play we saw earlier in the Rogue match on Bank, it didn't really work out all that great for the Monty, so maybe Yuna's got something up his sleeve, but maybe this is the play here, because they're trying to push into rooms, and what is DarkZero doing to stop them? Shooting towards the doorway. What's going to stop that? A shield walking into that doorway. So, I mean, I appreciate the mentality and the strategy behind that of like, let's just get into a room where we can face check it, where it's not just dependent on drones trying to catch out positions and hope we can, I don't know, fast peek them at angles. Hot and cold, 7, nicely done. But I don't know, their lineup again is still not doing a whole lot to help them do this, but the shield is the first adaptation I've seen that will potentially drive their way into rooms. But once that's read into, I think we're going to see a lot of goo mines at the feet of those doorways to make sure that Yuna cannot just hold in a doorway. He's going to have to push in, hit a goo mine, pull the goo mine out, and then push right back in. And in the meantime, that gives a chance for the smoke, for example, to reposition and try and smoke out that doorway.
DarkZero running back the same setup they had for Armory Lockers and Archives the last time they defended it, which was we're going to hold CC and we're going to make you push us. Worked out pretty well from last time, although we do have a slight change here to the FaZe, I guess, order of operations. We got 3 members all stacking over towards the office side. So it looks like they're sick of pushing into CCTV. Ion gets AC control with Mav down below to try and display some of these anchors.
This looks like the old school Archives Monty plan.
It could be just right under the balcony. And we've seen FaZe take their shots. Yuna is going for the plant now inside of the door, and nobody here for DarkZero to stop this. BC well late on the smoke, so the plant will go down, and Yuna not taking any damage whatsoever. An upside down rappel on sandwich window, nearly impossible to fight there for Hot and Cold. BC's been down and finished off now inside of the objective by Ion. Checking top east, but no one visible there for Nyx, as he's gonna have to rotate back into Archives, try and challenge these windows and balcony plays coming out from FaZe. Another one cut down by Ion. Mav at least traded out here for the man down below on sandwich window. Hot and Cold is still outside, battling Ion, and finally will fall a vault out there from Mint, as he's got Yuna staring him dead in the face. Has to wait for Hyper to come back and rejoin him. And then knife the shield out of the way of the feet. Hyper spots one on the rappel, he can't see the other one, and as he vaults, Astro will cut him down, hanging upside down, face to ground, and that's FaZe getting away with a sneaky plant in the inside of Archives from the balcony. They'll get one back in the win column.
I think it's pretty funny to see them go from one sneaky plant to another. They thought, okay, we could get away with this one in Tellers. Tried it, didn't work, so they thought, they won't expect us to do a sneaky plant a second time. And that was near flawlessly silent. You saw BC how late he was on the rotate. First off, because they 6-picked to the Monty, so they didn't see it coming. And second off, because they just executed on it quickly. You don't need a ton of information, because literally the Monty can walk in, face check it, see it's okay, have someone cover while he plants, and smoke was the only thing that was going to try and counter him. Being too late on that was worth taking the damage. I also liked the upside down repels. You saw, for example, the peek out from the doorway, try and look for anyone that was on the catwalk. Didn't see the guy on the upside down repel because of the angle with the lip. Just positions like that. The Thatcher, unfortunately, was in a bit of a compromised spot, but the second one, the upside down repeller, was in the right spot to take it. It's just good coverage. They knew what the plant was, and being able to execute it quickly, they were able to cover it quickly as well, because that plant is almost outside. And that's definitely something that works. I mean, it is similar to that Teller's plant, but I think a little bit better because the way you can play it, there's limited ways for them to push out on you. Very well done. Nice little fact there. DZ has only ever played a single best of one against LATAM. So they haven't had to show the stamina against them. DarkZero is up at the moment, at least. So
FaZe is also 0-4 against North America.
So maybe they're glad to not have to play North America, at least two of the North American teams. So definitely possible we could see more, but of course they've got to get through this first.
Yeah, we had 5 opportunities for North America to represent themselves at the major on the main stage on home soil, and we've now lost 2. 2 of the biggest North American teams, Rogue and Evil Geniuses. Instead, Space Station go 0-2 in groups, surprising a lot of people, and you could see that from a lot of the tweets from Space Station as well, saying, keep sleeping on us, keep sleeping on us.
Right, so at least some of that smack talk working, and I gotta imagine the tweets from SSG are just out of this world.
They're pretty entertaining, I must say. And this one here for DarkZero, though, to try and become the second North American team to make it to the main stage. They got to go through FaZe. And right now, FaZe's quick plays, 50-50. Didn't work on bathroom tells. It did work on Armory Archives and Lockers. So now, this is going to force DarkZero in their last defensive regulation here on border to head back to Customs.
And again, they're not bringing anything to really adjust for that. They're bringing the same lineup they did last time in the attack. They really could not do much against it. At least they're trying to drone a little bit better first and find a way in. But I don't know that there's a lot of weaknesses they could work with. Maybe it'll just come down to Mav hitting a grenade, but certainly not going to be down to air jabs as Nyx takes down Ion probably before he got a single one set up as he was busy droning. But Nyx actually went for that run out this time. Like you said, that is a risky play because he is vital to holding CCTV, but if you could take one down, get right back in your comfortable spot, lay down, take a little nap for a moment, make it work. Nyx is the man to do it. So now it is all back on FaZe to try and make some kind of play happen, to try and pick someone off. Like you said, they're always looking for those early picks, and they're just not being given them by DZ, and it's working out so well. But the jump in, not punish this time, in fact, it punishes them.
Oh, big assault there from FaZe as they all pile into CCTV collectively, and this time it works out. It's going to force Hyper to drop and you eliminate the CCTV control. The hatch is reinforced though, so DarkZero playing it as, you know, even if we die here, they still have to open up the hatch. Nitro Cell, that might have actually been a breaching charge there at the hands of Astro. Trying to open up more visibility into the objective. Checking for small office. He sees the blood of a dead body and thinks it's the person that he's hitting, but unfortunately, he's not hitting anyone. There is one right below him right now. I believe it is Mint, the bandit laying prone inside of the small office. 2 on the round now for Astros. They have the 2-man advantage. Last time they had a 4v2 advantage, though, they threw it away.
Yeah, this is definitely one they can work with, though, because they have control above the site. That's the most important play. And it's now down to just flank attempts from Hyper, who gives away a little bit of his position with pre-fires. Hot and Cold, the only one a bit on a stealth here. See, at least the Legion Gumine helping things out, but I'm not sure how much intel they have, but at least the 2 operators left are both camera players, so they might have some intel set up. Plant attempt getting a little bit delayed, but still going to come down. This is down to the rest of members of FaZe to cover this with 20 seconds left.
No call of the plant's going down. Hot and Cold slowly making his way from Passport as he evacuated the objective. Lots of spray from that all into the small office, and Unit will finally fall in a spot where the diffuser is planted. No cover from the small office hatch just yet, but one is directly above them at the CC hatch. Hyper going for the defuse while Hot and Cold tries to cover, but there comes the impact for Astro. 3 on the round for him. Mav will clean it up after Hyper hits a nice shot up to the floorboards, but FaZe, after dropping 3 rounds in a row, able to equalize heading into the half.
Yeah, definitely a good back and forth, even though it wasn't completely literally even back and forth, but 3-3 in the half is pretty good for the start here. This was FaZe's map pick, and for DarkZero, usually struggling on this map, it seemed they had a lot of those pocket strats in play, that stuff that just didn't work out for them in Pro League or they didn't use. But either way, FaZe seems like they've warmed up quite a bit. They're finding some weaknesses in that, but too little too late is now the side switch, because yes, they found those weaknesses, managed to pick up 3, but now they have to adjust differently on the defense. We'll see how DarkZero are going to play this attack. Will we see any sneaky 6th picks? They got to imagine it's Lockers first. FaZe is not going to go for any crazy plays. But I like the 6th pick to the Mozzie, so they might drone a little more unsafe, plus that's combined with the mute, so they're just going to deny as much intel as possible. But interestingly enough, they're going to deny themselves a little bit intel by not bringing the Maestro, and instead depending on the Evil Eyes, which Nyx in theory should spot out on that IQ, so they might not be long for this one.
So one of the biggest problems we've had with IQ so far in this tournament this week has been IQs that are being played more like an Ashe than anything. We have seen a few IQs get in below and get some freebies onto a couple people on cams or take down a couple ADSs, but for the most part, Valkyrie cams have remained intact, even with an IQ on the board.
It's definitely a case where a lot of times, too, you don't want to use your scanner in a place where you're compromised because it's just a pistol, and a lot of those are usually deeper into the map itself, and yes, the outside cam's great, but those are the only safe ones you can get. Even then, you're not always safe at Pro League level because people can spot you, jump out on you while you're in the middle spinning around looking for a camera. So yeah, it is definitely risky to do, and I think that's the big thing. Is it's a risk-reward sort of thing. You gotta go for the more important gadgets that you could possibly get. But at least they have a Thatcher, right? So you spot one that's in a compromised position. If it's a vital one, you can potentially Thatch it.
Nice angle there from Mav down to Customs up to the break room door. Just curious what he was opening up there.
Yeah, some kind of angle. I mean, those even work for sound as well. One of the things you can do a lot in this game with the destruction is open up sound paths. It doesn't always work the way you expect it to, depending on distances, path of least resistance, and all that stuff. But sometimes having those paths open in the ceiling in a spot where it doesn't compromise your angle from above in terms of them being able to use it against you, but will provide extra sound. I doubt that's what it's for, but it will help with that. Well, he's trying to spot something. Trying to get some intel on what's going on in CCTV. You really want to know if there's a camera in there that's going to work against you for sure.
The biggest things here for DarkZero as well, as FaZe identified earlier on, the attempted CCTV takes weren't really working out for them when Armory was the site. It's like DarkZero have identified that, yeah, we want to go for an office take. We see all the pressure that FaZe have inside of CCTV, mimicking kind of what we were doing, so we're going to get out of here. Looks like all 3 sets of X-Kairos were used to just open up trip wall in office. Yeah, there's a lot of utility burnt on just trying to get into offices alone. Now they can't open up the archives exterior walls from office.
Well, hopefully they don't need to open any hatches either, because that's certainly not going to happen. I mean, they could have brought a Maverick as well to help with things, but you don't really need the hatches at least. So yeah, the Habban expecting that. Like you said, they can't open up the fountain wall or the wall into the archives. So those are definitely both ones that give you a really strong advantage. That means they have to funnel through a doorway because both those walls on archives reinforced. Glad that vault still works. Take a little damage, but it always speeds things up a little bit in a game where its attacks tend to be a bit slower than you'd like.
Now he's got a nice Valkyrie camera outside. Nastro is going to start things off onto Nyx. So there goes that IQ. This Valkyrie camera outside that is watching BC. He's going to remain intact. The peek in towards sandwich window there from BC. Doesn't take any damage for it. So at least he's able to save his life there. But he knows that Mav is trying to contest this. The Nitro cell down below. He's 2 members lined up for him. Just waiting. Trying to go for the plant in behind the balcony. The same thing that FaZe implemented just without the Montaigne.
Oh,
this
no.
Nitro cell is going to fall short, and the plant is going to go down from hot and cold. So in a 5v4 in favor of FaZe Clan, the plant goes down. Hyper is going to level up man count, and it's an onslaught now from DarkZero. All down to Mav and Ion with this intel. No more Nitro cells in the back pocket of either of these operators, and Hyper with a beautiful shot onto Mav. 3 on the round for him. Mint will clean it up, and DarkZero put FaZe in a body bag on that one.
For having all that intel from the cameras, the one thing they were just completely overlooking was the archives. Plant goes down. He has a C4 right there. Easily could have stopped it. All they needed was that tiny bit of intel. Hey, there's someone planting right here. Boom, done. Round starts to collapse on them. Everyone funnels into there. They're dead. Plant just completely denied. But that one little bit of intel missing, they're in control of the site because they're thinking, oh, they're fighting for offices. You know, we'll just continue to push them back. They're not going to push in quickly. Completely flummoxes them. That was a very nice play by DarkZero. See if they can repeat that. But now they finally, again, in the driver's seat. Well, actually, yeah, they were in the lead a few rounds early on. They didn't get the first round, but they did manage to get some lead early. So they're going to continue to drive that again. But I feel like FaZe will probably push back here, especially since they have to change. Or don't have to change bomb sites, they can continue to revise what they did. And so the second thing, the thing won't work again a second time. Much like the Monty push, right? You're not going to see that happen a second time on Archives. So Archives itself has been kind of the victim twice now. No one really wanting to commit to the Armory push.
And we've seen this be troublesome for FaZe so far in both of their games, once against Forge and once against Fnatic, where You know, if you're changing up your pace, if you're changing up your playstyle round to round, it's really been screwing with FaZe's ability to countermeasure.
Yeah.
And it's been quite detrimental to FaZe's success throughout the week, when either FaZe or Fnatic were going heavy pace early on, and then one round they just flip it on a dime and they say, okay, we're playing this extremely safe. So I imagine a fast plant there from DarkZero will be followed by a slower push, maybe towards CCTV this time. Just trying to throw FaZe as many different looks as possible to make sure you're not getting predictable.
Well, the upside for FaZe is now they've brought a bit more intel. They've got the Maestro now to provide that extra intel. Not to mention the Mozzie might actually capture some drones that will allow some mobile intel from them. I mean, those can be short-lived if the attackers see them, but that will give you a lot of extra information between those three things. That is, not to mention the Legion Goo mines, pretty much all four of those operators could be bringing them extra intel. So I don't think they're going to be caught as easily off guard this round. But at the same time, a lot of those can be eliminated by the IQ spotting them, and then maybe with the Thatcher, depending on what they're going for, or even the Zofia for those Maestro Evil Eyes. So it looks like they're maybe even changing up what they want to do on attack. They were setting up towards the opposite side, but now we see a little bit of rotations around. Could be reconsidering. Nope, they're definitely going to commit at least their hard breach to the office wall. They might even just vault that rather than use a third X-Cairo set on it.
I imagine that's the change that DarkZero are going to make. They're only going to use 2 on the office wall this time, so they can actually open up some penetration into archives and have some visibility deep throughout the site. Because if you open up that left panel of the archives wall, you can see all the way down to half wall.
And you know a lot of people are going to be on that side. That's what a lot of them were last time. Giving you those angles works, although that does work against you. Those holes do work both ways, and that is a big problem when you're trying to stick that plant down. That can punish you also.
Well, Nyx is going to start things off. Instead of being the opening pick, he's going to get the opening kill onto Cameraman. So there goes the Legion off the board. And DarkZero still slowly pushing their way through on the office push, but they are making some pretty good progress. Sounds like the last set of X-Kairos have detonated. I imagine that was on the archives wall, but can't really tell right now. It's Valkyrie camera outside, still being a constant nuisance, and Nyx not taking care of it once again. This is something we've seen plenty of times now from IQs. Nyx is still over towards CCTV in the break room door. There's that one punched open hole there, nice and low, so that you can control the angle of attack from either of the defenders.
Works good with the upside down repel too, the way he's using it. It's going to be very difficult to spot him at that long angle.
There goes the Evil Eye watching for the plant as well. A little bit low on time here for DarkZero, but the only thing that's left to do is collapse and get a plant down with some coverage. Hot and Cold slowly making his way up towards Fountain. Nyx has CCTV, exterior CCTV controls. Can get rid of the Legion mines placed outside. Mav, though, will take down BC out on AC. That's a big loss of control there, and now everyone for FaZe rotating over. Astro's going to cut down another one, 2 for him from 90. Still trying to push up the hallway, and Hyper cannot acquire an angle onto him. Had just barely poking out Hyper with 2 now. Picking up the diffuser is Nyx as he heads back to try and attempt to plant inside of Archives. Being spotted constantly by that Valkyrie camera. He'll get onto the indestructible portion of the floor. A Nitro Cell, though, about to be launched out here from Mav, and that could end it. But no, it doesn't connect onto Nyx, and the plant's still going down. Way too long in the Nitro throw, but his coverage is gone. Hyper will fall. Nyx has to vault out to AC and cover against 2. Mav pushing in from metal detectors, and Ion pushing through Fountain. Relocating to the right side of the window. Oh no, he's taking a lot of damage to the engagement, and Ion will nail it with the Roni. FaZe Clan will tie things up now at 4-4.
A lot of good moves there by DarkZero, but well countered by FaZe. You saw once they had control of the archives from outside it in office, they actually rotated a lot around. You saw Nyx doing that first, rotating to the push from the armory side, and then they collapsed on that, funneling in to the archives itself. I really liked that idea. Let's just push them hard, push them back, and that way we could stop a plant coming, other than, you know, maybe a rotate around through the hallway into offices. But because a lot of the members of FaZe tucked themselves around corners, hid in areas on the metal stairs, places where they were not expecting, they actually left the site and said, you know what, we're not going to get pushed in, or we're going to push away ourselves and then push back at the right moment. The Nitro Cell was a little bit of a miss, but you know what, at the end of the day, they were able to push on it play-wise and able to catch his cover and then push him out. In a 2v1, it is difficult to cover that, especially when you're limited on angles. Plus also some whiffed shots onto that shelf did not help. We have a little bit of a technical pause, but it looks like might have resumed already. So whatever it was, hopefully sorted quickly. And I think we're finally going to see our first, and it's weird to say this on round 9, Vent's defense.
It is. DarkZero avoiding Vent and Workshop like the plague, and I mean, it didn't really work out for them on their custom hold. But Bathroom Tellers was successful for them once, and then Armory got taken away from them once as well. So They've definitely run the gauntlet on the off sites, and like you said earlier on, it's DarkZero, right? They coined this. They were the inventors of this kind of play style where you exclusively take off sites as pocket strats, and for DarkZero, they're not unfamiliar with these kind of plays.
This is something that should give DarkZero a little bit of advantage at LAN, in that they're not just refining their strats on the sites that they played during Pro League, they're playing completely different sites during the LAN. So, however, that being said, it is still equalizing score for Force, so DarkZero have not maintained any kind of lead. It seems to always get pushed back by FaZe. This is FaZe's map as well, so we may not have seen everything FaZe have to show as they're starting to go through their defenses now. We'd only seen lockers, now we're finally seeing vents. We don't know what the third bomb site is yet either, so could be plenty of surprises in store for DarkZero, because of course with FaZe picking this map, they obviously had some good ideas in mind. Also seeing DarkZero's potential weakness on it.
Well, Mav never afraid to take a shot where he can. He's going for a couple runouts there. One to find a drone, and then one to see if another drone will pop up. And maybe even a person, but he'll get his last Valkyrie cameras down now as he rotates back over to Customs. And for FaZe here on the defense, this is going to be a new look for this entire map so far. We haven't seen the Vent Workshop hold at all. We'll see what the attacking side for DarkZero can come up with in response. It's a pretty typical sight to see from plenty of other teams, almost every other team that plays Border, so wouldn't be at all shocked to see this still turn the way of DarkZero, even though it's a little fresh.
Well, much like with the Armory Lockers too, you never know which side the attackers are going to attack from. Without a Thermite, it is a little bit harder to attack from the bathroom side, because opening up that wall. Doing it with a Habana is much slower, and that's going to give away the telltale sign that you're pushing that direction. Whereas the jump in onto the B site can be something that works for a lot of teams, but it is risky. Sometimes it's even a run in through the front doorway and a plant by the desk. But it seems like they're trying to feel things out right now, get an idea where they could potentially push from. At least there is some more intel on the side of the defenders, but they swapped up the Mozzie for a Mute, another M operator. This time it's more denying drones a different way than the Mozzie does, but either way they're still denying intel. And a C4 kill. They're making up for the last round C4 miss onto Nyx now. That's a lot of intel lost in terms of the IQ. As you said, the Nyx wasn't using it a ton, but it's definitely not available now, and that's going to hurt them a bit.
That's the throw from the angle that he was making earlier inside of Customs, right beside the passport check wall. So I was going to say, it's kind of odd they left cameraman alone inside of CCTV to try and cover that. You know, he's kind of on an island there. You can't really easily come back and support him. But Nav had the cover all along.
The cover from below. Yuna trying to play some long angles. This is pretty typical to try and fight from behind those lockers, but he's going to get pushed out here soon. He needs to go for a flank, and they didn't have the intel on it just yet, and unfortunately loses that fight. Hot and cold now, huge man advantage here, but time still dwindling down a little bit. Mint actually gets downed, it looks like, in the process, and that's going to equalize things.
So got to worry about cameraman inside of CCTV looking to turn the corner. A good phase check there from, I believe that was BC. They dart back and forth. Mint still bleeding out in 90, and cameraman unaware at the moment, but he's trying to cover. The ping's coming out in support. Break room door now as BC tries to press in. A great turn there from cameraman for one on Hot, and he gets a second one onto BC as well. The man on an island doing it all himself. Cameraman with 3, whipping out the pistol, looking for 4. Last man standing is Hypers. It was all DarkZero up until cameraman threw a wrench in the plans. Still defending Diffuser from inside of the cubby. There's only 12 seconds left, and Hyper has to push the door. Cameraman looking to be the saving grace for Latin America on this one, and the vault over without the diffuser. It's all over. Cameraman on the solo play. Beautiful, most valuable performance on that round for cameraman.
It was all about him reading into the pinch. He saw the peek and he's like, oh no, now that they know I'm here and they're not pushing me, they're gonna push me from the other side. Whips around, picks the one on the other side, and he goes, now they're gonna try and push me from the other way. Whips around, picks the other one, whips back around again. He read completely into that, and it's funny because it looks like a direct line of sight for them on the pinch, that they have advantage, but it's really giving him the opportunity to just 360 no scope around, knowing exactly where they're coming from. But that was just his head on a swivel, absolutely reading into that. Timing just slightly off. That's the problem, is you think a pinch will work here. All we've got to do is pinch him. We know where he's at. He can't move very far. Just pinch him. But if the timing isn't there, that's where it just doesn't work. And honestly, you almost need to pre-fire on your pinches because of it just moves like that. Cameraman, very experienced player. He knows what that push means. Absolutely ready for it. And as you said, MVP and saving that round for his team by far, because it was starting to fall apart a little bit there. And also the diffuser being lost right at his feet practically made it nearly impossible. Tactical timeout coming from DarkZero. Now that they're on the back foot though, Also gives FaZe a chance to talk as well, though, to try and figure out how to close things out in the next 2 rounds if they possibly can. But what will their third bomb site be? It will be customs. So we will not see a tellers from them. At least not now. Still possible.
Still certainly possible. And man, DarkZero looked like they had perfect control of that entire round there. A little low on time near the end and when they started pushing in towards Armory, but that was cameraman all day turning that one around on its head. And FaZe, they're mighty grateful that happened.
Yeah, that wasn't cameraman, that was Superman.
Yeah, and as well, DarkZero pushing those angles individually, one at a time. You think maybe some better timing between BC and Houghton there, and maybe they get the pinch on him, and even if Houghton goes down, BC has the trade while he's looking at Houghton, but just unfortunate millisecond difference of timing there, and cameraman is able to collect all 3 from the trouble of being put on an island inside of CCT. That was
like
really,
you said, Mav covering him as well.
Yep, Mav was covering from down below, and it's kind of the impressive part for me for cameraman on that one is he had no help. He was alone with no friends for the entire round.
He didn't look like he needed help, let's be honest.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
Mav setting up the cameras, might go play down below again. In this case, they do need CCTV even more than they needed it last round. See, nope, it looks like he's going to be upstairs for the moment. Part of the upstairs hold to defend this. Definitely quite a few members of FaZe holding that top floor, although some of them could potentially rotate down. A little preemptive claymore, just in case. You never know if someone's going to try and pop out and go for shots behind when they're trying to go for a plant, potentially into the jail area.
That outside Valkyrie camera got taken down too, and was as well that was on the truck outside of the vent room default camera. So, drone stuck in the windowsill, it's going to get shot away, and Yuna overhealing himself for the peak, trying to provide some cover here, and Hyper's going to grab the first one, Astro next to fall, as Yuna has to overheal himself just to stay alive in the fight here. Inside of Armory being pressured upon from the west balcony, Repel going upside down, so could have been visible, but Yuna just not spotting out anyone or attempted rotate here from cameraman. He gets cut down from multiple angles. Nick's to be the one to follow up and take down cameraman. No heroic solo efforts inside of CCTV this time for FaZe.
No, they learned from last time. They distracted him and just waited for the right timing. Mav, though, beautiful. Now we know what that hole is for. It works. He's gotten 2 kills now down from below in there. Well played, and unfortunately, they still do lose CCTV.
Nick's again getting caught out by that. Same person, same operator, same spot, back-to-back rounds. VC aggressing onto the Armory wall now, as they know Yuna still has the long angle with the Doc ACOG. They have to get rid of him next, as Ion's made his way to the top of the metal stairs laying prone, waiting for anyone to push hallway. So very spread out right now for FaZe. No one really within arm's reach of another teammate. Looks like Yuna's trying to recollect with Ion so they can stay a little closer together and battle it out and continue to hold in Armory. But on the wide peak, Hyper shuts him down as he peeks outside of lockers. So now Ion, the last man standing upstairs, and Mav, the last man standing downstairs for FaZe. It's another 4-2 advantage for DarkZero. Slowly crouching his way in, but read beautifully by BC. There goes Ion. Last man now is Mav inside of Customs, right outside of the small office window. Looking up towards the hatch, but BC is going to eradicate all of those floorboards, make sure there's no safe spot for Mav to hide in. And now for DarkZero, they have all the time in the world to try and convert for a plant.
They've definitely been doing a good job playing a lot of angles and actually holding them till members of FaZe get antsy. They're going to be expecting Mav to do the same. They know that he can't sit in place. Plant's going to start to go down as well, and this is going to force him out of position. He tries to spray through where he thinks it's at, but it's at the opposite side of the room. Now that it's down, he's in a tough spot here. Lose a little bit of health, and a grenade going to force him to change positions again.
Still being shot up through the walls. 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. Perfect coverage here for DarkZero as Mav has absolutely nowhere to go. Locked in a cage on metal stairs. And that is DarkZero getting around back from the one that they probably should have had last time around. But nonetheless, we still equalize at a 5-5. We're going to go the distance in regulation on map number 1. The real question is, will we need overtime or will someone pull ahead?
It's certainly looking like it, but we have had some round streaks. It's just a question of who might be able to pull it off, because it seemed like both teams are actually doing a good job adapting to each other. In that case, it was DarkZero adapting to the fact that FaZe do get a little bit antsy in their positions. They don't just hold them statically, they stay very fluid, and they took advantage of that by holding angles. You saw quite a few kills there where just DZ is like, I know he's in this area, I'm going to hold an angle till he moves right within my line of sight. They got quite a few kills that way. You even saw the antsy Doc behind the half wall get caught off a little bit that way as well, because he's peeking, looking for some angles to fight. He thinks he's going to catch them by surprise, but because they've already set up on angles, it's them catching them by surprise. And that's good restraint, just getting up just to the edge of where you know they're at and holding those angles. Obviously, that's a dangerous thing to do in time-wise because you burn a lot of time holding those angles, but it was a good read by DarkZero, good adaptation. Now it's back, ball's in FaZe's court to adapt again. They're going to bring that Mozzie and the Maestro again, but this time no Mute and no Valkyrie. So let's see if they can do this.
One of the biggest shots for me, I think, throughout this tournament so far has been the lack of smoke play. You know, we see a smoke every now and again, but it seems like a lot of teams are moving away from smoke as plant denial and time wasting and utilizing other operators, whether it be whichever of the big three defenders that always get banned make it through the ban phase, Mira, Echo, or Maestro, or, you know, the addition of Mozzie and the number of nitro cells that have been used to stop plants now. It seems like teams are getting away from Smoke, who is notoriously the most picked defender every single region, every single season.
That's also a Latin American thing too, so FaZe has definitely been the biggest defender of that, because you saw, for example, BC playing Smoke earlier, things like that.
Yep.
But Latin America has always been way more about their C4s. I remember back when Oregon was the meta, pushing Laundry, Smoke was like first kind of a big deal installing that out. They would go smokeless in the first season of their pro league, just C4s only, 3-4 C4s, just hucking them. They're very, very good at throwing C4s. So you know what? That's a Latin American skill. So might as well play off of it. And like you said, it's not necessarily playing for time. They're playing for kills with those C4s.
Nyx has a very, very tight but nice angle in towards the Armory half wall, waiting for Unit to start peeking out. Claymore ready for the run out of CCTV window.
He was the one to make that jump earlier, so he's expecting someone to make his play.
Wouldn't be at all shocked to see someone from FaZe implemented here. It looks like Hot and Cold has once again used 2 sets of X-Kairos instead of 3, and there we go. We're getting the proper setup here from DarkZero. Nyx trying to evade the Mozzie pest. Does so successfully. He gets it on top of the kitchen counter inside a break room. They've Thatchered the Evil Eye, and Hyper's going to start things off onto Astros. There goes your Jaeger, one of your most powerful fragging operators, and one of your best fraggers in the entire region of Latin America off the board.
Well, he has died quite a bit early on during this tournament, so that hasn't been always the biggest loss for FaZe, but it does certainly hurt a little bit to lose someone that early into the round, because manpower advantage definitely seems to make a difference in this matchup, especially with DZ being at full health. You hear the Maestro Evil Eye going off, possibly taking out a drone. So between that and the pests, they're doing some drone denial, but it's not stopping Hyper from just popping his way on in. He's got to worry about fountain pressure as well, but there is no one in there. It's actually on the other side of the wall in the hallway. However, now they know he's there, but he's actually not getting pushed just yet, able to set this up and start to help his team get pressure.
Fire back at the Tracers. Mav takes a little bit of damage, but he'll juice himself back up. Yuna and Ion taking heavy fire, but Ion will win it out against Nyx. So there goes your CCTV control from outside a break door. Now everyone from DarkZero again trying to pile in for the plant. They have visibility, but Mav on the long angle with the ACOG again. Hyper next up to meet his maker. Turning the corner into 90 now. Hot and Cold reading, waiting for Mav to turn the corner. Who's going to spot who first in the rotate? It's going to be Hot and Cold as the crouch peek from Hot and works out. Now taking a lot of damage from inside a break room and finally felled. Mint will drop at the hands of Cameraman once again. CCTV appears to be his home. 15 seconds for DarkZero as they try to swarm in towards Yuna in the back of half wall. Hot and can now land the shots. BC finally on the trade, but down 5 seconds. No diffuser in hand. He has to try and get a plant down as both the FaZe members try to recollapse upon him. There's no time left, planting into the overtime, and that's going to wrap it up here for FaZe. They are now on match point on map number 1.
Well played by FaZe. Good trades. Problem is, DarkZero stalled out on that push into Archives. They had a good setup, but the longer they took to win those fights, the longer they took to get into Archives, the more time FaZe had to make adjustments, had to be able to play angles and delay, take pre-fires, things like that, to slow them down, and they started to get more desperate. It wasn't necessarily time ticking down just yet that was desperation. It was just trying to get that extra 10 feet of ground into Archives, feeling solid. Of course, the Maestro all the way in the lockers yet again, working out, just being able to take a lot of, I mean, you can pre-fire so much with such a big magazine. You can really stall them out because he has a good angle onto a lot of that room. Of course, the frost pick, just a tease from Mav there. But well played by FaZe on a similar defense that DZ should have been able to expect, but they were just a little too slow on fighting it. I mean, the good peak from Hot and Cold, though, that he really probably should have lost his life to the dock, but did manage to win that. So there were some good trades, but ultimately at the end, it just wasn't enough. FaZe, thankfully are able to hold that back. But this is where we could definitely see it go into that OT if we could get a push back here. Hyper still continuing his streak at this land, 13. Hot and cold, though, definitely picking it up. And from a quote-unquote support player, showing some serious fragging power.
That's the thing with DarkZero is every single one of their members, almost something related to EG, where they can flex onto any role. It doesn't have to be one person playing one specific role. They have a lot of flexibility in their lineup, with especially the core of BC, Mint, and Houghton.
Yeah.
That's a very flexible trio right there, so they can fill a lot of the gaps. Nyx and Hyper, obviously, you know, entry 1, entry 2. That's kind of their role, and that's all they'll ever really be on attack.
The Hyper part of it seems to be working a lot better than the Nyx part, but it's working to an extent.
Yeah, and Nyx won't show up on the scoreboard as much as someone like Hyper, because Hyper will still play the fragging role on defense versus Nyx
Very true.
pushed into like the ACOG role versus BC on the smoke. And Houghton will as well take apart some of the flex duties that Nyx would typically be on if he was going to be on a more fragging role on each side of the game. So you're going to see Hyper at the top of the scoreboard for DarkZero a lot. The flexibility offered by DarkZero is something that can't really be understated. It's a huge commodity to have.
Definitely, it's definitely something that's working to an extent for them. It's not every single round, of course, otherwise it wouldn't be a 6-5 scoreline, but yeah, that flexibility is something they need to show because, as I was saying, these teams are both adapting to each other back and forth, which is what you want to see at this level of play, and having the flexibility of teammates makes that much easier. Nyx did spend some time looking actually for some cameras near him before he goes to drone, which is a smart play, right? You want to make sure cameras aren't watching you before you sit there on a drone, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to look for them elsewhere. As you mentioned, he doesn't really spend a lot of time on that, just more just covering himself. And then playing a bit more of that Ash entry frag role.
So here for DarkZero, Nyx is going to be collapsing in from detention. You see all these wooden barricades being placed by FaZe just to have some sound cues for when someone is pushing into an area that they're not actively occupying or have placed any utility in to have intel. At the end of the day, wooden barricades are limitless. You can put them on every single door and window on the entirety of the map for free. There's no cost to doing it. You don't get a certain set amount. You can do it as much as you want. So free sound cues there. A big peek there from Cameraman. That's going to leave Cameraman slightly better in the engagement health-wise, but Hyper having the much better weapon, especially with the ACOG to take those long-range engagements. As the X-Kairos will detonate onto the armory wall. This is looking good for FaZe, though. They killed a lot of time.
It's funny that we haven't seen anyone try and do anything to deny the armory wall whatsoever, despite the fact that it's no thermite. So they're going to slowly pick away at it, which is funny. This is the first time we've even seen the attackers try and pick away much at the armory wall when it's reinforced. So not sure if that Habana will be able to get away with it, but you know the Habana's focus there. It could be an opportunity for FaZe to try and make a play onto the stack that's likely to be standing near the wall. Nyx, in the meantime, though, just being able to play down here from jail, not doing a ton of like hunting in terms of walking around, but he knows someone is playing in workshop. He's waiting for that Pulse, who he knows is going to be hanging out down. So this is a very common Pulse play, but Ion is down here backing him up, and I'm not sure that he knows that.
DarkZero very low on time here. BC trying to hold the rotates into CC, but the shotgun comes out. It will not land for Astros. He has to drop back down to the site. He's got a man at the front door. Mav with one on the next. The trade here from Hot and Cold, and now DarkZero starting to get in gear. 15 seconds left now. Trying to get the plant down in front of the smoke. Inside of the desk. 2 more kills for FaZe. It's down to BC and Hyper with no time left. BC with a beautiful shot on the Mav, and he needs to get the plant going down. The drop from the server hatch not going to be enough. BC trying to plant into the overtime. All it takes is one swing from Ion, and FaZe Clan will take map number 1 and put DarkZero on the brink of elimination.
Definitely looking good, though, for DarkZero. Because this wasn't their map, but they still played it very well, makes me think they have a lot of potential to take FaZe on Coastline, to take this to 3 maps so that we end up on Kafe. But, of course, they've got to get there first. FaZe definitely showing they picked the right map, at least in terms of coming ahead, but that got very dangerously close to overtime. And depending on how the sides went down, that could have potentially swung in the favor of DarkZero if they made the right plays. A lot of that was, during that last round too, a lot of the smoke and other chaos towards the bottom floor actually benefited the FaZe Clan. They were able to play off of that chaos. You saw the Pulse that wasn't caught out. He was able to make a play. Just no real great response to what was going on, and 2 plant attempts not helping out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're 1 map deep in a best of 3. It's DarkZero on the brink. We'll have to find out on the other side of a short break on Coastline if it'll be DarkZero's last map or if we're going to go all 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Raleigh Major 2019. It's DarkZero now with their backs against the wall. FaZe Clan, a team that looked rather underperforming in their first two games against both Force and Fnatic, still persevere, and now they have a map up on DarkZero. That was FaZe's map pick on Border. We're now heading to Coastline in just a few minutes as we wait to see if maybe DarkZero can bring this back on their map.
I definitely think it's a possibility. This is a good map for DarkZero, one they know very well. Obviously a map that's been around for a while. Border obviously been a little bit longer in the map pool than Coastline has, but you can see they're not the greatest record on it for FaZe, but also 2 losses as well for DarkZero. So while they know it well, I guess they haven't been doing that great on it. But I feel like some of those bans were also maybe to hide it rather than just to avoid it, because they are a team that I know can perform on this map. Not sure about FaZe, but it is one that Latin America tends to avoid like the plague. So I can understand bringing them to this because they just do not want to play on Coastline. So they're going to have to now. No choice there. It's not the decider map. However, if they can shut it down, they don't have to play Kafe, which they do like to play.
I think Kafe, if we get to it for both of these teams, is going to be a show-stopping match. We've seen a lot of crazy upsets so far in Kafe. We just watched one between the Giants and Evil Geniuses, where the Giants were able to pick apart 4 attacking rounds of their own. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get to Kafe, if we'll even need it, we got to get Coastline out of the way. It's FaZe, it's DarkZero. We're up 1 map in favor of FaZe Clan, and FaZe will be starting on the attack on Coast.
All right, we'll get some interesting bans here on the operators, but start with DarkZero, taking out what they don't want to play against first on the attack. Could see something spicy. I was wondering, I was going to say something about, like, I wonder if we'd see a Hibana ban. It's not totally necessary, but it's one that some teams do out of preference. I didn't think it was going to come out, but it certainly has quite a few times this tournament, so I guess it's not a terrible surprise. That one, however, is an interesting choice. One you rarely see.
Twitch ban. Rather fascinating. It looks like, just based off the ban there from FaZe, I'm going to wait to say that after I see the defensive ban.
I wonder if they're expecting Amira to be left in.
Possibly.
Nope. It's
They're
certainly not
ban
going to
it
be.
themselves.
Yeah, so that was definitely not the part of the strategy.
No, so I imagine they're just looking for gunfights at this point. I mean, Coast can play very heavily into that team deathmatch kind of style.
Yeah.
Hyper on a Twitch is scary. Nyx on a Twitch is scary. I mean, even Hot and Cold on a Twitch is scary, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's not a ton of like phenomenal uses for Twitch that are going to be like game breaking. It can take out Evil Eyes a little bit earlier. It can take out the mirrors if they were available. It could take out some of the other gadgets a little bit ahead of time, but at the same time, with Mozzie available, you can also steal those shock drones or deny them the ability to move into a lot of areas because A, they can't jump, and B, even if you can jump, a lot of areas are good choke points to stop those from being able to enter anywhere near it. So, Kitchen to start off, though, interesting choice.
Also surprising that Yuna's bringing the Thermite, even though Coastline is one of those notorious maps where it really...
Yeah.
Like, Hibana will be your maximum in terms of hard breach.
I wonder where they're expecting the site to be, because there's not a lot of great uses. I mean, there are some reinforced walls. You're not going to hit that one, the one that's kind of highlighted right next to Hot and Cold to his right. You're very unlikely to thermite that because you're very exposed standing there. And even the one that Hot and Cold's reinforcing also problematic to be there because there's a lot of rotations that happen from security, from even the courtyard that can come in. It's risky to be playing there, so I don't know that Thermite's going to have a lot of use on this particular site. Maybe they're going to use it somehow upstairs for part of the attack to open up some of the walls for angles, but I guess they could try and, if they reinforce all of Theater Wall, open that up. I don't know, I'm really curious to see what Yuna's going to do with that.
5 seconds left.
Yeah, it might just be a safety pick in case they, I don't know, go Pen Theater first, but that's a bomb site that's really fallen out of favor for every team in every region.
You can still use Hibana just fine on that one as well, and you're safer with the Hibana pick, but they don't have Hibana available, so I guess that might be where it's for. I mean, you're certainly not going to rappel down to hit the back of the minibar on Billiards. That wouldn't be a safe bet, so...
Nonetheless, we'll have to find out. Yuna's going to pop open Lambo doors. He's looking for anyone to be playing in behind the desk, another common position that a lot of ACOG players will enjoy playing. jumping up and down and taking as many engagements out the front door as possible. For FaZe here, they're going to have to contend with a lot of CCTV, like security hallway hold, and the theater hold from Hyper as well. You got Hyper on a dock, so they may have taken Twitch away from him, but he still has a lot of options to be able to frag. Yeah,
the roam should be pretty decent with both the Valkyrie cameras and the pulse in play, not to mention the Mozzie to deny some of the droning. This is definitely going to support good roam play, which Hyper's going to be pulling on that ACOG. Like you said, the ACOG's playing on the desk. That is where I would expect Hyper, and that is where he's near, but he's actually fighting courtyard angles. That is one advantage of the ACOG as well, is to be able to fight across the courtyard to deny people entering from the bar side, which is what he was trying to do, but he wasn't able to find anyone just yet. A lot of them working on the top floor at the moment, trying to clear that out so they can work their way down, which is good because you've got the track stingers to be able to hold that off, so that way you can be able to play a bit downwards if you need to, although interestingly they don't have the buck, but they do have the super shorty of the gridlock to be able to open up as much of the floor for angles as possible, as well as 3 breach charges from Astro, which he's going to start using now. There's always some good angles here on Kitchen from above. That's the problem with Kitchens, they almost always end up with being well ventilated from above.
And this diffuser for FaZe has been a hot potato, being passed around between 3 members now throughout the beginning portion of the round.
4.
Yeah, we're going all over the place. I think it started with Yuna, but nonetheless, Hotton's going to start off onto Astro with a great Nitro Cell.
Speaking of hot potatoes.
Another one now was, we're looking for Nyx or BC really to start getting involved as well with the Nitro Cells. 3 on the board, there goes 1 detonating. It's not going to land onto anyone, but there's the 3rd. All Nitros all day. It's fireworks inside a penthouse.
This is like favela at night.
DarkZero and still battling through the floorboards as BC. It's 2 on the round for him, and suddenly FaZe in quite the predicament. Trials and tribulations of explosions coming directly for them vertically. Waiting for Nyx to peek out will be cameraman. As ping coming out onto the camera, and there goes Nyx. A 1v5 now for Yuna on the first round. This is a much better start here for DarkZero. The peek comes from Hyper, and he'll get decimated, but on the vault, Mint will shut him down. DarkZero are going to take round number 1.
I wouldn't have expected that level of C4 play from the North American team versus FaZe. That's impressive, showing them how it's done, at least on that particular bomb site, because they know there's going to be a lot of top-down play, and a lot of it is in VIP, so they definitely fully took advantage of that, but well played. A lot of good intel they had because they had the pulse, and that was definitely going to play in their favor to be able to spot a lot of the members, and good call-outs, good timing as well to be prepared for those. That's not easy to pull that many kills off like that, but it absolutely paid off, and that seemed to surprise the heck out of FaZe. They're going to continue to bring the thermite. I doubt that was the bomb site they were thinking it was. We'll see if bar ends up being that one, because maybe Yuna will have some walls to open there. There are some you could kind of open on this site, but again, it's an odd choice to make. But I hope to see something phenomenal with it that really changes my mind.
For FaZe there on that round as well, I mean, sometimes you can rely on those Nitro Cells as a defender, but not always. You know, there was one that missed. They went 2 for 3 on hits with the Nitros being launched up, so that's a pretty good percentage. You're not always going to get that. And we saw that from TSM back when they were Accelerate in Challenger League and in early days of their Pro League after making it in, where they would rely very heavily on those Nitro Cells, and it was a double-edged sword. It was, if your timing was perfect and you had the right intel that the attackers couldn't pick apart, then yeah, you're golden. But all it takes is one camera to go down and for you to miss your timing, and all of a sudden, a lot of your game plan gets torn apart just because you're relying on those Nitro Cells to get you those opening picks.
It really needs to be a bonus kind of thing.
It pays off here for DarkZero in the first round. I don't know if they're going to continue it on here. They have 1 Nitro this time on Hyper, so he's also been playing a carousel of operators in the defense, going from Doc to Jaeger to Bandit, Mozzie. He's all over the place, and Legion.
Yeah. I'm surprised that he's going to go over to the Mozzie. We had Nyx playing, I think, last time, but Nyx is going to be more of a roam on that Vigil, already taking a lot of damage to his death. Astro with a great initial kill onto the castle, who had already done his job, so not a huge loss, but that is some gunpowder from the UMP that will not be in battle here. So a good start for Astro. He's going to just make sure that if he opens up those castle barricades, it's going to benefit him. Nyx playing the typical Roman security, though. Usually it's a Jaeger here, but there's no Jaeger in play. So he's going to be hanging out in security. And of course, they're going to read into that. This is not unusual at all, but Nyx is just going to hold as long as he can because he needs to buy himself time. They're going to send in drones, which I don't think he's jamming at the moment. Oh, he's going to peek it, and Astro on top of that because he's not the one droning. So he's not going to lose that battle. Hyper, though, going to look to stand on his buddy's body, try and fight it as well.
dangerous proposition here, but he gets Ion low on HP. It's Astro and Ion low, so all it'll take is 2 shots here to equalize man count. There goes 1 down onto Astro through the drone hole. Beautiful angle there from BC on the Alda. He's also a member of DarkZero that's had to play a myriad of operators on the defensive side. More tracks come out here from Ion as they're just trying to stall out Hyper's ability to go for the flank.
I don't know, it's stalling them out a little bit too. So you have to keep in mind that the time they're spending trying to fight him is time they're not planting. And Ion, the diffuse carrier, is low on health, so if they pick him off, which should be a lot easier, that drops diffuser and all of a sudden they can guard that, and that baits in a lot of the attackers. Well, at least we found one thermite use to try and get in to the behind the bar on blue to be able to plant there potentially.
It's kind of curious because that wall was soft, so you could have gotten away with it just a normal breaching charge, but
yeah,
nobody from DarkZero shoots the wall to shoot it off.
Well, the one player with the breaching charge is the one who's dead, so I suppose there's that. I mean, they also could have used the ITA on the, I guess the gridlock, or I mean, sorry, the gridlock, but the shotgun on the gridlock, the ITA on the Jackal, or the breach charges on the Grackle.
I guess maybe he didn't set up for smokes on the setup, but nonetheless, Yuna's going to push his way into the objective, and they're bombarding into blue bar. Mav going to vault into Sunrise as well. They have no idea where the remaining members are. In behind the bar, BC will fall, and it's a clean sweep for FaZe at the end there, as DarkZero unable to hold the objective, and FaZe barrage, and they come away victorious with an onslaught of death of DarkZero members, and for FaZe there, a good comeback round.
Yeah, the back and forth continues on both teams' maps so far. That was an interesting push. I mean, they definitely lost a little bit of manpower, but Astro had already done some good work, and it wasn't as big a deal. But once they had things open, they started getting some good intel on where a lot of the players were. The good flank coming in from the Sunrise side, just collapsing quickly at the end there. I mean, all the delaying that they did on security, that's close to where they needed to be anyways for the push. It didn't do a ton for them in terms of playing that, and obviously losing your gunfights doesn't help with that, but I like that they at least tried to lock that down with the gridlock for a while, and in the meantime, while they were, I guess, distracted with that, the rest of the team was working on getting set up for that collapse, so good play on their part. Could play bar again, but nope, they're going to switch it up to hookah, which was normally the primary for a lot of teams. Not DarkZero, though.
DarkZero usually the antithesis of whatever is normal in any situation on any map, and they do pride themselves on that and their preparation. So hookah defense here, we've gone 3 bomb sites in 3 rounds, and for DarkZero on this one, not really sure what happened to Mint. It looked like while we were at a 5v4 there and Nyx hadn't taken any damage inside of security, there was blood on the wall in security, so I'm imagining Mint was trying to rotate out.
Yeah.
Or trying to put a castle barricade down somewhere and just got caught off guard by Astro. So the opening picks lending themselves to FaZe for the moment.
Well, we'll see. They should be a little bit better prepared this time, but you never know where the defenders or the attackers are going to enter. Like the holes being opened up in that wall towards courtyard to really control things. Of course, that can hurt you later on in your own room, so you have to be cautious of that. You never want to open up holes that the rest of your team doesn't expect to be there. Oh, potential peaks coming out here. Astro looking to enter the same way he did last time, but changing his mind and repelling up instead. It's going to be potential. Is the Legion going to have? Nope. There's usually someone in security, but it looks like the Legion doesn't want to stick there. Astro going to be sneaking in with his team. And he actually acted like he was going to rappel up, but went back down. Not sure how much they know about what's going on here so far. He actually called his teammate over of Mav. You could look for some footprints as well to know whether or not anyone might be playing in there, but safety check with the drone first before you stick your head in any doorways.
Tracks deployed!
Good tracks use as well to stop some runouts potentially.
It's interesting that they still have the breaching charges on Mav on the Jackal, so that's clearly not a mistake. They've done it a couple rounds in a row, and I guess they feel confident with Ion having the smokes, but I mean, he was down to what, 5-10 HP, still trying to push him through office last time. Seems like redundancy would be nice considering the amount of soft breach you have just with the shotgun, and then you have Astro with breaches and Cameraman with the remote detonation breaching charges on Ash. I mean,
I feel like they feel like rather than use smokes to cover their plants, they'll use gunfire to cover their plants. That just seems to be a bit more their mentality, and if it works, it works, you know. You gotta do what you gotta do, but this particular bomb site itself especially lends itself to smoke.
So more stingers getting set up and make sure that no one can come for a flank in behind, and I'm interested as well with that courtyard wall being opened up. As long as you just put someone inside a main lobby for the most part, you can cover anyone getting underneath for a nitro cell. Nyx going for a bit of a wide swing here on drone. I'm sure Ion is watching this very closely to see if Nyx ever overextends himself to the point that he can be caught off from in behind that pull tail. We got 2 members downstairs for DarkZero right now, Hot and Cold and Hyper. Nobody guarding right now except for Mav inside of office to make sure nobody pushes in and can get underneath for impacts or nitrocells to deny the plant, but low on time and stalling inside of Aquarium right now are FaZe.
This looks like a heavy retake strategy with how many members of DZ are downstairs, and the plant going down, there's not doing anything to stop it, although at least one C4 going to go off to do that, but no one actually countering the defuse plant, and it goes down successfully. Just 2 kills there on the defense, 1 on the attack. Ion still low on health again.
Taking a lot of damage. Astro's going to have to head all the way to the roof as 2 members of FaZe are flashing red with their amount of health remaining. Looking for a run out here of Hookah Door, but Mav with a beautiful read. 2 in the round. Another one will jump out here as Houghton will take down Mav off the big window. Another one downed off here as it's down to the 2v2 and the health advantage on the side of DarkZero as they try to storm their way back to the default plant spot. Cameraman waiting, going for the rappel onto the big window as BC is counter defusing currently. And there's Cameraman to wipe it all up. 2 on the Ash, upside down rappel on the big window, and FaZe. Once again, we go back and forth like a seesaw. It's FaZe in the momentary lead.
Like I said, the back and forth continues, but this case, FaZe on the opponent's map, getting that first lead. Well, second lead, I guess, because the first round is going to be a lead for someone no matter what. So there's no draws. But a decent attempt from DarkZero on that bomb site, but I guess we can see why it's their third. Playing that heavy retake strategy with so many people downstairs, maybe they were thinking C4 was going to be the play again, but they just didn't have the ability to hit the C4 on it. And again, they weren't going for heavy smoke coverage on that plant necessarily, even though Ion was both the smoke carrier and the diffuse carrier. But he did a good enough job with those tracks denying things out, although they didn't actually stop the runouts on the Hookah Door despite that early throw of the tracks onto there. I imagine they might have cleared those off early too, just knowing they might want to use that run out. Because shooting the tracks only hurts you if there is someone around to actually punish you for it, much like the air jabs. But if you shoot them off early, you set yourself up for a push later. We even saw a bait early from Geo shooting some tracks on Coastline and using them as a bait. Or no, sorry, I think that was Kafe. I'm thinking of. Well, we are going to have the gridlock yet again. Kitchen one more time here. This is their primary, so they're going to go right back to it, continuing the order. And of course, if that continues, bar after this. Ton of variation here on this. They are, again, bringing the pulse, setting up potentially for those C4 throws. But in this case, they only have 2.
It's the same 3 bomb sites you would see on Coastline, just in a different order than I think we're used to. I think Hookah's become the primary and your starting site for a lot of teams around the world right now on Coastline.
Basically, they're doing it in full reverse.
Yeah, usually you got bars first, and then Kitchen's a good safety net, but honestly, you need to have strong roaming presence on Kitchen because there just aren't enough safe places inside a Kitchen to service to hide.
Apparently, if you C4 enough of the floor, that makes it safe.
Guess so, as DarkZero found a way to anchor more than 2 bodies safely inside of Kitchen. We'll see if they can come away with those C4s again. Like I said, it's pretty hit or miss. You need your timing and your intel to be perfect, and all it takes is 1 missed nitrocell, and it's an entirely different story as to how you're going to be able to hold the site. Looks like Hyper on the Alda, so again, carousel never stops here for Hyper on the operators. He's off to the Maestro now, and he's playing in behind the Lambo desk, trying to spot Astra with some 1-taps all the way from desk through courtyard to the Sunrise entrance door. But nothing landed, and Astro prevailed victorious, I guess, in that minigun fight.
More often than not, you want to give Hyper an ACOG. He didn't have it when he was on the Mozzie, and unfortunately, it didn't work out that great for him, so that's what you want to do. Let him fight those long-range gun battles. He's trying on Astro, but he's not going to re-peek it, thankfully.
Astro's made his way unimpeded all the way up to the bottom of Cool Vibe stairs. And the rest of FaZe right now pretty spread out. There's not a lot of joint operation happening. And there goes Nyx on a flank through security. Gonna take down Eunice. There goes the Thermite. Not the biggest loss in the world, but that it is a good opening pick there for Nyx. And no one locking down the flank through security for FaZe.
It is odd, too, that Euna isn't the one carrying the defuse most of the time. That usually would be his MO, especially being the Thermite. But I like that they're going for a bit more of an attack on Kitchen now, especially with Astro going for it. The rest of the team just kind of distracting, it seems. But no, he's got backup here from Ion. While there will be some pressure from above, that's not the focus this time. They want to go in horizontal. Ion opening things up as well, and Astro ready to get a second.
Plant going down here from Ion, taking a lot of damage as BC up against the reinforcement. The Nitro cells come pouring out, and Houghton with one. They all barrage in, and Cameraman at least able to take down one. Downs off the second, and we'll clean it up with the 5-7 onto Houghton. A 2v2 here as BC is extremely low on HP, playing the rotate inside of Kitchen, and Hyper inside of Courtyard on the Alda. It's a dangerous angle, but at least he can cover picking up the diffuser from there. And the floorboard's getting blown open by Mav with that skeleton key, trying to identify where BC is, take that 1v1 against a very low HP Valkyrie. Could pop up in the hatch and drop into the hallway. He'll have to worry about Hyper covering from Courtyard, though, as he still has eyes on diffuser and the main hall. Cameraman slowly making his way up, making sure to not get caught off guard here by BC. The shots come out, but no, that's Cameraman. 3 on the round for him as he's starting to win these engagements out time and time again on the Ash. Mav trying to recollect the diffuser, and as he falls up, Hyper will spot him, down him, and finish him off, but Cameraman turning the corner. A huge 4K for the superstar in this match for FaZe. Not the usual name we're used to screaming, but it's Cameraman all day, all night here.
What a fantastic, I hate to say this, bait of your teammate. He didn't know where the last one was. That you saw how long they were spending trying to figure it out. Luckily for Cameraman, he did find out where the Valkyrie was, got the kill there, and then from then it was just like, okay, well, go for the diffuser. If you die, we'll figure out where he's at, and I'll kill him. And that's exactly what Cameraman did. Executed very well on that. That push onto the kitchen side, much better. It was unfortunate they got stalled out a little bit when they got slaughtered entering, and the C4 did at least get some use still, even if it wasn't more vertical. But nonetheless, that didn't work as well as I think they would have liked. Good adaptation from FaZe. It did get down to the wire, though. It was dangerously close because, of course, had Cameraman not landed the shots onto the Maestro, he wouldn't have been able to get over to the diffuser. He would have had to still continue to try and fight him. But didn't matter. He was on top of it. We'll see if they can succeed again. That was 3 in a row for them, and they're going to fight Kitchen again. Risky play in a way, though, fighting the same site you just lost.
Thank you, Spencer, for all these fun facts. Historically, both teams have heavily struggled on Coastline. A combined 3-3-11 record in the last calendar year for both of these teams. Not the greatest performances. Right now it's FaZe tearing ahead, but we saw DarkZero tear ahead to a 3-1 lead on Border and have that evaporate before their eyes. Kind of shockingly as well. It seemed like FaZe got back in the game. They got that early round, which I thought was a good start for them, and things, again, deteriorated for them in the early portion of the first map for FaZe, as has been pretty common this entire week for them.
I mean, all they won was that C4-tastic Kitchen defense so far.
Yeah, now DarkZero on Coastline, they're having some big issues being able to defend. And this was their map pick, obviously, so FaZe got to pick the starting side, and they chose to attack first, which is notoriously the more favorable side on Coastline, at least in the past. It's definitely leveled out much more than it used to be.
I still think that attack is usually chosen more often than not for the starting side, just because you get some slight edges, and that's what you can play off of. Just the way roamers are more controllable on this map, especially depending on the operators you bring. When you bring a Jackal and a Gridlock, you're definitely banking on being able to control those roamers, and so far it's actually been working out fairly well against DZ. They have a good kitchen defense, but last time it got read into by FaZe, and just a lot of Cameraman winning fights, though, honestly, was part of why that one, just Ash doing Ash things, really brought them success on that attack. But Astro also trying to soften things up initially did help.
I like that FaZe have also employed a little bit what DarkZero were bringing on Border, which was the last couple of games we've seen from them, both against Fours and against Fnatic. They went roam hunting a lot, and they got caught up in the monotony of trying to clear the entirety of the map. And FaZe here, at least in the first 4 rounds of Coastline, barring the first one anyway, have really started to simplify things. You know, it's sight only. We're going to hold some flanks and open up some holes to make sure that you can't rotate on this. The next flank from last round obviously got through the net, but outside of that, FaZe have really simplified a lot of their game plan, and I think it's working out wonderfully.
Well, that's the thing, is we tend to think about roam control in terms of like trying to hunt down roamers, but a Jackal and a Gridlock both work very well in terms of just identifying where they're at, trying to lock them down, and then not worrying about them, which is exactly the plan. There's only the 2 sets of stairs you have to worry about. You Gridlock tracks both of those. You have someone somewhat near to hear if anyone tries to go up, and suddenly they're locked to the ground floor, which of course then they have to depend on those C4 throws, which again they will have a limited amount of here.
It sounds like one just barely missed as Astro continues to dart back and forth, and now firing down to the kill holes. BC still firing up, and honestly, BC comes well ahead out of that engagement. Now Hot and Cold has to rotate in towards the bathroom as he's being aggressed upon from Astro. And now Cameraman, the Ash and the Zofia working in tandem, trying to dispatch of this Pulse, constantly being a nuisance inside a bathroom, but not a lot of time remaining, and BC will nail yet another shot up through those floorboards. The holes work both ways. The hand exposed here for Hyper. Still lose about 40 HP just from his gun sticking out but BC again firing skyward and claiming 2 lives for it.
BC definitely saving this round so far, but Cameraman saved last round, and he's certainly looking to do this one. Already chasing them down, hunting them in the kitchen, ready to get some more here. He was fighting delivery before, but Nyx is going to fight back and actually wins his second gunfight against Cameraman. That's who you needed to kill. Yuna not going to clutch this out anytime soon, but he's certainly going to try and fail.
Unaware of Hot and playing inside of Kegs, inside of the service corner, so Hot and Cold and the rest of DarkZero bring one back, thankfully, for North Americans' hopes. As I'm sure there's a lot of NA fans looking on today into the decider matches and saying, wow, our region's kind of getting obliterated.
It's not great. We are on home soil and not going great. But you know what? We have SSG.
We do have Space Station Gaming, the #1 seed, to come out of the group of death.
They are our hope.
Remember when Gotcha said the group C was only the group of death because EG was in it?
I think he was including EG in the death part.
It certainly seems like it. DarkZero right now in another, I guess, stronger group in Group D with the resurgence and honestly impressive play from Fours coming out as the #1 seed. Fnatic going 0-2 as well, a big shock. So both of these teams in a position that I don't think they anticipated they would be in. I think FaZe anticipated they would come in and play a lot better off the get-go and have an opportunity to be the #1 seed. But that Fours game was a big shocker for FaZe, and now in this one, last night against Fnatic, it looked very poor in the beginning as well. So maybe some more hopes on the side of FaZe, at least in this game against DarkZero now.
Yeah, I anticipated that if any of the Latin America teams were going to go forward, it was likely to be FaZe. While it's not over yet, and they definitely have not done that as they're only 1 point ahead, it's looking possible here that FaZe might be able to do it because Latin America is not doing the greatest either, and they only brought 3 teams versus the 5 from NA, so NA can't afford to lose a few, although certainly it hurts every single time it happens. But they are definitely still in this. FaZe still bringing the same operators, but the thing is they're tending to figure out how DarkZero are doing things. You saw the adjustment to even Cameraman trying to fight delivery last time. They're like, okay, you're going to play kitchen. We're just going to find different ways to attack it each time and rely a bit on Cameraman's skill. Unfortunately, once he got killed by Nyx, that got shut down.
I've really been impressed with Cameraman's play as well so far. Through all 3 games, even the game against Fours, it looked like Cameraman was doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of the fragging ability, and that's something notoriously we lay at the feet of Mav and Astro for FaZe.
I still feel like Mav has been showing up a bit more than Astro, though.
Yeah, I think Astro's been pretty quiet so far throughout the tournament, and I mean, he's on like more of a second entry role. He plays solo quite a bit, and that's hard if you're not there for the trade. Sometimes Cameraman is there picking up the pieces that Astro might have dropped in an engagement, but for the most part, Cameraman has just been a star performer for FaZe, where in past tournaments he hasn't really shown up like this.
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like there's like a little bit of art to his career because he seems to have gotten better and better at the fragging role, which is why they're changing what he's doing. He used to play more support. I remember when he was kind of a Mira main, but now he's on Ashe at this point. So they're definitely playing into the strengths they're seeing develop from him. Obviously not a lot has happened in this round for him, but they're doing a lot of droning first, trying to figure out how is this hookah setup going to be. Now last time they didn't do so great on this hookah setup, but they're certainly going to try and stall things out at least a little bit more because that plant went down when they were not expecting, playing too many people off site. They've still got people on site, and the C4 kill on the Cameraman, that's the winning move they needed now to potentially make this work, and the stall out from FaZe because of that. Play time at this point, play safe, have enough people close to site. That death there, thank you for showing that, Marcio. Now we know where he went down. He was the one solo this time.
It's a big opening pick there against Cameraman. They're looking for Valkyrie cameras, I suppose. There's no echo on the board, it is banned out. Ooh, attempted peek towards Mav again. He loves controlling the big window, and he's reading DarkZero's plays beautifully. Ion going to be going in for a plant. The Toxic Babe will push him right on out. Gonna be choking on that gas, but you know, a minute left. Big shots here from Mav, all whiffing. Mint will take one onto Astro, but now the surge from FaZe. They try to barrage into the objective entirely, and it's not going well for them. A big run out failed there from Hyper as Mav will shut him down on the C7 outside, but now the remaining members for FaZe once again separated. Trying to pick apart the objective players here for DarkZero, and it has not gone well for FaZe Clan. We might be going into the half again, tied up at 3. Barring a pretty strong comeback here. One inside of Blue Bar spotted out now as Hot and Cold will fire off through the soft wall towards Mav. Trying to enter in through Sunrise and push up the stairs. Got pressure from both sides. One laying prone. Hot and Cold with a Nitro Cell and not even spotting Mint. Prone in the stairwell will be Mav to fall, and Mint will shut it down DarkZero still able to persevere and bring 2 rounds in a row back, so we go into the half tied yet again.
Deja vu. Well, last time that came out with FaZe at the advantage 7-5, so DarkZero going to have to try and maintain that lead now that they go to what is, in theory, the favorable side. So they have the advantage to be able to make this work. And that's what we saw last time, is technically FaZe were on the favorable side. They are going to take a tactical timeout, though, because they felt like, oh, we lost that lead we felt we had. What can we do now that we switch sides to close it out like we did on Border? But like I said, on Border, they got the favorable side on the switch. Now, they're getting the unfavorable side. Let's see how they do it. They are going to start on Hookah first, it looks like. So they're going with the more common route. But a lot of that last round, Mint for sure. His plays, 3 kills for him, doing very good on that defense, really just surprising a lot of the players. And I think that was what paid off a little bit more, is we saw the previous time that attack went down, a lot of the players just kind of off-site, a little too passive, waiting for maybe some C4 attempts, things like that, just not working out and the plant going down early. But also the early kill on the cameraman really softened the push from FaZe. You knew they were going to get desperate for a plant, and they just started looking for picks at that point, playing a little bit more aggressive. Mint found them, and then from there, FaZe just didn't have a lot to be able to push back with, other than trying to stick that plant down, and the smokes were in play to stop that. Perfectly played and denying it. And of course, they only bring the 2 sets of smokes. They have limited smoke to be able to try and cover themselves for that.
So I don't know what the signal was there from Bacon, the coach for DarkZero, as he looked over towards Hyper, drew an imaginary bow back, and shot an arrow.
Yeah.
Is this baseball? Are we getting hand signals in here now?
Like, you got to decode them. He's got his little flip book of hand signals.
Yep.
He's still wondering what that meant.
I'm wondering because the only thing I can think of with a bow and arrow, I mean, Captau, maybe, because Hibana Elite, but Hibana's banned. So I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into just the face cam being
Coding
on.
it, right? Yeah. Tweet us if you know what that meant.
Trying to break apart the Da Vinci Code down here on what Jordan's doing with his imaginary bow.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just telling Hyper to go gun. Maybe that's all it is.
He guns in a very primitive fashion, apparently. Maybe he's a go caveman gun.
5 seconds left.
Well, either way, though, the tactical timeout actually did force a switch here from FaZe. They went from Hookah to Kitchen, so some of their discussion and signals actually affecting this particular round. We are going to see somewhat similar lineup, though, come out from the members of DarkZero, but one addition, not just the Gridlock and the Jackal, but also the Nomad. They are looking to really control roam play here.
It's a lot of operators and utility being used. Kind of what we were seeing from Team Secret against Rogue in the first matchup on Coastline as well from Monday's game. And it worked out pretty well for Team Secret. I mean, they had 3 flawless rounds to start, right? So if you can lock down the mobility, a lot of the defenders on Coast, it seems to be working out obviously pretty well for a lot of teams.
It's definitely the way to go, I think, on this map, because it's a lot more possible. It's part of the reason the attack is a better side. And you have those operators available, you should use them. I mean, yes, you do lose a little bit out on utility, but if you can just gun off of that, you don't need as much utility. So if you can just trap those roamers or hunt them down, just gun them. And then that's less people you got to worry about. Manpower advantage, you don't need as much utility at that point. They're, of course, still going to have probably 2 sets of smokes. I don't know what Mint's carrying, but definitely Hot and not carrying the breach charges. He's bringing smokes for sure. They are looking to try and push back against this, but the map control definitely going in the favor so far of DarkZero.
Yeah, locking down security now will be Nyx, and he's not pushing forward just yet. Very well aware that Yuta is playing the Maestro in behind the Lambo desk, and Jackal Track coming out onto Ion on site. So not a whole lot of identifying the roamers, but at the same time, not a whole lot of roamers to be had here for FaZe. A little bit of top control right now from them inside of VIP, but outside of that, a lot of site-oriented play. 3 members for FaZe upstairs inside of Hall of Fame. Nav going for a run out. He's going to need an air jab. Cameraman as well on the run. Will take down Hyper off of his rappel. So they burn the air jab and they double peek it on the run. It requires them a kill. The smoke's now being sent out from DarkZero inside of CC. Nyx gets his head torn clean off. The smoke now choking out the planter. Vaulting in the kitchen window will be Mint to take down one, but stopping the plant dead in its tracks now will be Yuna inside a courtyard of the Maestro. The same play that Hyper tried to bring out earlier, and Yuna again. 3 for him. BC with 1 to bring it back in the favor, but he's alone against 3. Astro taking down all of these tracks on the stairs. He tries to reacquire some control over the objective with the rest of his teammates. BC pistol in hand, rotating as quickly as possible into Sunrise to try and reacquire the diffuser and hopefully pick apart these FaZe Clan members spread across the map in some 1v1s.
Only 30 seconds to do it.
BC gets one onto Astro as he tears his way into Cool Vibe stairs. Yuna still covering, and Mav on low HP. This is certainly doable here for BC, just the time not in his favor. BC rotating over towards the blue bar and now rushing into kitchen. All Yuna has to do is cover this for the 4K on the round, and that's it. FaZe Clan take the lead heading out of the break even after the TAC timeout. Looks like DarkZero still have some thoughts to bring forward and some new strategies to employ, because right now it's not working well against FaZe.
No, definitely not. FaZe read into, once they had an idea what the operators were, and just played against them. They said, okay, they're going to cordon us off, but they're not really going to hunt us. And you saw that with the double run out with the air jab. Then it's like, you know what? It's fine. Because any of these things that they do, whether it be the gridlock tracks that we can shoot and bait them into, the air jab that we bait them into attempted peek to try and kill us, they could actually be used against the attackers. The Jackal track didn't even work out that well. You saw the smoke being Jackal tracked as he's trying to deny the plant. He did eventually get killed in the middle of trying to do that, but they had the cover from Yuna on the Maestro in the courtyard. So the redundancy there working out for them. They're going to try hookah after all.
3 rounds away from prevailing and pushing themselves to the main stage now for FaZe Clan. I'm sure they can feel it. I'm sure they can feel that they're this close after starting out so poorly against both FaZe and Fnatic in the beginning of their games. The game against Fnatic, they were down at the half in all 3 maps.
Yeah. Well, they persevered, and they had time every night to think about what they could do different. I imagine they spent time just coming up with whatever they could to stay in this, thinking about what they could do. VOD review, I gotta imagine at some point, the DarkZero have had to show some things during this tournament, figure things out, so whatever they were doing, it seems to be working, but DarkZero not out of this yet. They're only behind by 1 point, and they did even things out in the half. So it's entirely possible. A cameraman up there with 11, Ion actually the one kind of dragging his feet at the moment. Hyper as well with 2. That's a big reason why DarkZero's not ahead right now. Hyper is the man who you would be expecting in double digits like he was last map. Like you said, he's been on the carousel of operators, but mostly he's just been a merry-go-round without a lot of killing going on.
I think the one thing for DarkZero right now is they haven't really unleashed Hyper. They haven't really focused on getting him the kills and getting him in positions to win. He's more playing a support role, as I say that. Hyper in the
there you go.
Holding an angle from outside on top of the vase. He's gonna grab a first one off the cameraman who really tried to overextend into Sunrise and cut down the entry. And looks like DarkZero going for underneath control currently. Next up will be Nyx to take aim in towards the Cool Vibe stairs. Yuna's being Jackal tracked to the top of those staircases. So for Nyx here, an easy target to acquire, just a hard task to be able to push up Cool Vibe stairs. That's usually a death sentence for anyone.
He's certainly looking for an opportunity, but actually peels off it pretty quick when there's no one there, because he needs to get on the move. They want to stay very mobile and flexible here. Now that they've got the man advantage, they need to make sure that they maintain a time advantage and try and control the roamers again as much as possible. While they've still got all of them, last time the Nomad dying kind of early meant the air jabs were a little less effective, especially with the double runouts on them. So they've got to know that it's not necessarily going to stop the roamers from moving. They just need to use it to be able to control them as much as possible. And that's going to help as well. Hot and cold take it down Astro. So they're starting to soften up the site as well. C4 is going to come out as is usual for this map now, it seems, but not land.
Nyx with another one bursting his way up Cool Vibe stairs. He's got control over base as the flashbangs come in. Burning out the ADS, but the third one will detonate. BC with a nice headshot onto Ion through the wall. So now it's all Mav alone, who's trying to flank down inside a kitchen and stop that Sunrise entrance from DarkZero. The shot will give away his position. An upside down rappel on big window turns into a normal rappel as the plant's going down from Houghton. And for Mav here, it's pure desperation, stuck inside of Aquarium. Nowhere really to fight out of. He's going to go for the run out here, trying to alleviate the pressure on big window. The upside down rappel gets caught out, but no, low on HP now will be Mav. He tries to make his way back into office, vaulting for the kill. Nyx will get slapped away. Now he has to go through the track stingers. Luckily does not hit a single one, but Hyper will clean it up from outside the blue bar window. And DarkZero will equalize things once again. We continue to go back and forth, almost a repeat of the same round count variation of Border.
Well, I gotta say, this definitely seems to be a well-balanced match. Whoever goes forward is about equal skill level. So definitely interesting to see that. Of course, as was mentioned earlier, they both also have some not great stats on this map. DarkZero tried to have some surprises. They did have some good early rounds with those, but just the back and forth, these teams reading each other, being able to play against what each other's doing, and it's working out. It's just fast evolution here and adaptation. And this is what you want to see at this level of play, just constant figuring things out. How can we do things different? But then also the counterplay from that, knowing they're going to do something different. And again, reading on the fly during that round, trying to figure out how they can adjust. A lot of that is down to good communication. Both these teams with single language, either Portuguese or English, I imagine. And that's going to help, as they don't have to have a little bit of a mixed language issues potentially, as some of the EU teams do. This communication, as I said, is key here. A lot of coordination coming out. But he's Hyper managing to pick up 2 that round. Hot and Cold doing very well, along with BC, actually. He hadn't always had a lot of kills here, but this has definitely been his map so far, playing very well. He's actually going to be on the Zofia, which is sometimes a bit of a gunner op, I think. We'll see, though. They're going to run the same ops with this attack now onto Bar. Now they did do a good job of taking the hookah area, which they've got to do again here for the Bar attack. For the most part, it is possible to do it without it, but you usually want to.
Attackers drop the diffuser.
I like that there's a big window there with that castle barricade as well. Just trying to seal things up a little bit so they can play upstairs a little more safe.
Doesn't really look like that's going to last very long, considering the amount of soft breach on the side of DarkZero.
Oh, yeah.
You could really just punch that thing open on the rappel.
It's true, that wastes time or utility. Obviously, they don't have a sledge, so they can't take it for free, basically, but they probably also have some breaches they could even use on it.
So Mav laying prone in behind this little island in office has been droned out. They're getting an air jab on as an escape, so the collapse upon Mav right now could be rather swift and rather lethal for Mav, as he's got no one to support him. Astro playing from above, looking down the drone hole angle. Not sure if DarkZero spotted that one out.
That's Astro. Angle.
Could be Astro getting back into play here, as he's, I don't know, he was on the Maestro last round and Mav's still being droned out. He's doing a good job of wasting a little bit of time, but this collapse from DarkZero should be coming in any second now as the flashbangs come raining in, evading those carefully. He's got the shotgun in hand waiting for someone to turn the corner. Nyx and Hyper pressing at the same time. Beautifully executed pinch there from Nyx and Hyper, not taking a single hit point of damage. And now Astro looking down the drone hole angle, looking for some feet. That's about the best he's going to get. And he's going to grab one. Oh no, Nyx on 5 HP now as he has to dart away from those kill holes, looking for more inside a blue bar now. Astro at least trying to trade this one back. Nyx is the diffuser carrier as well. That could be a pretty big loss.
I like this play here, though. But yeah, why is the Ash running around with the diffuser? That seems like we're going to end up with another hot potato like we saw. I like that play by Astro. It's just his inability to finish the job here is definitely going to cost them a bit. I mean, Mav was not going to be long for this world. Unfortunately for FaZe, he didn't take anyone with him. It was a good distraction for Astro to get some kills there. Trax are going to finally come out here to try and stop them from rotating into Aqua, but they don't really need to at this point.
The Aqua presence won't be necessary for FaZe here. What will be necessary is clearing out this double roam downstairs from Nyx and Hyper, and now Ion's gone down in towards Sunrise. It's a good rotation coming out here for FaZe. They don't need to hold the top floor as much as possible, and Astro's still holding the kill holes necessarily. Yuna upstairs with him as well is an interesting decision instead of having him where Ion is, but Cameraman collects a kill onto Hyper. Nyx still on low HP. Yuna decapitates Mint on that ult upstairs, making me look like a fool. And more shots rain out onto BC now. Trying to choke him off will be Ion. The vault coming in, but read beautifully. Astro on the flank. He gets one, he gets two. Looking for all three to wrap it up as BC last man standing in the Sunrise entrance. Astro going for a long jog, and he doesn't hit a shot. He has to come back into Sunrise entrance, and BC down and finished off by Ion. Beautiful rotations there for FaZe and the entrance into office. That's them a perfect kill early on for DarkZero, but they cannot extend beyond it.
Poor DarkZero spent so much utility and time just trying to push back the players upstairs, trying to even get good map control downstairs, but the upstairs presence actually really pushing them back. I mean, despite the early kill on the Mav, they just couldn't get any good map control, and then BC trying to play on his own inside the bar, being held off single-handedly by the smoke. Also the kill from Yuna as well helping out. Overall, just a really solid hold. It didn't necessarily depend on any crazy plays, but that rotate definitely helping as well. Coming around from the blue bar side, getting a nice kill, and really just making it pretty much impossible for them to clutch out at that point. Even the run out, just because like, hey, you know what, I don't even need to be alive for this to work. Let me just go for it. Actually softened about more for Ion to finish off and maybe pad his stats at least a little bit. But now, while they're in the lead, they're still only 1 point behind, or 1 point ahead of DarkZero. So this is another possible overtime. Cameraman again, though, leading the charge here. Doing very well. Hyper still yet to be activated. Now's a good time to activate him.
I mean, at this point, it's desperation. You're 2 rounds away from being eliminated from the major. Your first ever major, you get to this point, you're so close and yet still so far. Quite the mountain to climb here for DarkZero as they could be heading into overtime here on Coastline. Last time we were in this spot, though, FaZe tore away and got 2 rounds in a row to be able to push us to map number 2 and put 1 in the bank. Now for FaZe looking to close it out. All they require is 2 more rounds to guarantee Latin America's first, possibly only representative in the main stage.
Yeah, definitely going to be scary for North America and Latin America. But hey, at least we have SSG, so we can afford to lose a few more. We just don't want to, because I mean they're going to be up against G2 and the 2 Russian teams, so they may not make it that much farther anyways. Let's be honest, this is some tough competition this event. Nice angle there from Hot and Cold, similar to the one that we saw Hyper taking last time. Some good use of the map. Just knowing those angles. That's the thing about the pro level, man. It's so many angles. Yes, you can go on YouTube and watch angle videos all day long. Not all of them will work, but you got to know when to use them and how. When's the right moment. Bring in that game sense. Know when to peek them and when not to. There's so much to it at this level. They make it look easy, though, sometimes.
It's a huge pick as well because it's eye on the smoke taken off the board as the opening death. A beautiful pick there for Houghton as he tries to push his way into Sunrise now. Spots out the Pest and gets rid of that. Now going for a Jackal track onto the Mozzie of Cameraman upstairs. Again, a lot of VIP presence here for FaZe, unsurprisingly. So trying to hold from above with lots of kill holes down. And DarkZero didn't seem all that interested in pushing out any of the members inside of VIP and even lost one to the run out up top. Now it looks like they've got air jabs on each window to make sure no one can go for the run. There's only 1 man upstairs remaining now. It's Astro.
They're definitely looking for that top floor control. They really struggled with it a bit last round, and it's essential for Kitchen, as you saw when FaZe was trying to push it. But FaZe also did a good job pushing horizontally. We're not seeing as much from DZ, but they managed to get that kill now into Astro that you're talking about. That's a lot of the control they needed. It's now going to be down to a lot of roamers to try and ship things up. Mav, are you going to land that? Nope, unfortunately not. Nyx now still at full health, knows exactly what he's up against. Cameraman's rotate now going to have to be the playmaker.
Cameraman got detected on the run out outside of Hookah Balcony as well, so as he tries to work his way down the Cool Vibe stairs, there'll be multiple members of DarkZero ready and waiting. The peek from Nyx. All it lands with is lead in the skull for him. The plant going down here from Hot and Cold inside of the kitchen window. Mint with one onto Yuna on sight, but Mav will trade it out. Cameraman as well. Last man standing suddenly is Hot and Cold as he's floundering inside a kitchen. Neither of the remaining FaZe members left on site. They're trying to cover as Hot and Cold will put the plant down inside of Kegs in the safe corner. Plant will be completed here as neither member of FaZe close enough, but no! Mav with the wall bang. They left the wall soft, and they play the retake onto the site. FaZe Clan now 1 round away from the main stage.
Definitely looking good for them. They were on the back foot for so long that round, and just coming back, the inability again to control the roamers. You saw how much they're playing courtyard. They're playing in the main lobby. They're playing all over the place. And nothing being done by DarkZero because they start focusing on the site. They almost get the plant down twice. But just the soft walls giving so many angles. You saw how open the kitchen wall was. That soft wall there at the end. They played from outside perfectly, playing every angle they could to not actually have to engage DarkZero in a situation where DarkZero knew where the bullets were coming from. It was just come into the kitchen because we've got the burners ready. And they absolutely did. Fantastic play by FaZe. Just not really getting too nervous by losing members upstairs and saying, you know what, that's okay, they were there to buy us time.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Retake there, a 3v5 for FaZe in that round. And they worked out of it 1 piece at a time, and just a sight to behold from FaZe right now is they look like one of the weaker teams after the first 2 days of groups, and now they're putting DarkZero, a team that slapped Fnatic to the Shadow Realm.
Yeah. They're about to
them on the brink.
About to put that 0 in DarkZero. Not looking good here. I imagine they can still come back, though. They're a team, I think, that could make it happen. But being down 2 now, you talked about before getting that 2-point lead being very important last time, and it looks like that's now come down to needing just 1 more point for FaZe. I could still see it coming up to a 5 here for DarkZero, but even if they do, they stay on match and map point, and that puts a lot of pressure on you as a team, especially as you said, they have not had a minor before. That pressure could make a lot of teams fold at this point. I feel like maybe even was a bit pressure on EG and might have contributed to them not making it out either. They're looking for some angles, any peaks. That's what they're nervous about, is FaZe going for peaks early on, because if you're FaZe, yeah, you could go for those. You could take some risks here because you have a little bit of runway to be able to play with and put even more pressure on DarkZero. as long as you don't get punished for it.
I think that's the real difference for FaZe as well in this game in comparison to their game against Fours was FaZe pulled off the gas pedal quite quickly in terms of aggression and spontaneous peaks like that against Fours versus today where it's been unrelenting. They have never pulled off that kind of strategy and that kind of gameplay, and that's really been beneficial for FaZe to be able to put DarkZero on their back foot, and even when they get caught out making those peaks, like Ion last round is out of Sunrise, they're still ready for the retake. They're ready for the collapse upon to the large number of DarkZero members that all get caught in this bottleneck.
Yeah, and so the real question is, was the FaZe versus Fours match a real showcase of FaZe struggling or Fours just being that good?
I think you always got to give credit to the team that comes away with the victory, of course, but Fours look like an animal that I don't think anyone's ready for. These Valkyrie cameras still left standing outside.
No one to deal with them. And I mean, obviously, you're going to expect quite a few on this map. That's part of the reason Valkyrie is banned sometimes here. And nice rotate there by Astro. They're just looking for positioning right now. They don't have enough intel on the attackers. They're still going to go for a C4 that doesn't work, but this is just delay at this point. The members of DarkZero still outside the building for the most part. Not going to really do much, just trying to find angles. And guess what? FaZe isn't giving them any. Even a failed drone throw there could be part of a tilt. Ion at least taking some damage. Nick's finding off cameraman. Finally giving up. I think FaZe is getting a little antsy.
Yeah, trying to go for that run out yet again. BC taking a little bit of damage, I believe, at the hands of Mavs. We hear that MP5 ring out across the map, but 55 seconds left now, and I don't think they're holding the flank anymore. Yuna on the upside down rappel takes care of Hot on the upside down rappel by going prone in the window, leveling out a 4v4. The smoke grenade comes out, one from either team. They try to disorient every of these members. Holding inside. Asher with another one onto Nyx now, so the man advantage on FaZe. They look to wrap this one up. Hyper, though, want to trade onto Astro. The smoke's coming to the stairwells, laying prone, trying to battle the upside down rappel, but Mint and BC both went out their engagements. Last man standing is Ion, and he falls as well at the hands of BC. Looks like DarkZero is also going to require a tack timeout, try and push themselves into overtime. They're still standing on one round away from being eliminated.
Very impressive that DZ basically won that from outside the building for the most part. You did see them come in at the very end there for that last kill, but basically from outside. It was almost like a consulate attack at that point. This timeout, well timed, but it might have come a little sooner. However, they have the opportunity now to win this round, to take it to overtime, still have a chance. They win that round. Their mentality is decent. Now it's just, let's refocus. Let's figure out what we can do, because honestly, that round was slipping away from them as well. The great counter window play coming out, had that kill worked out against the upside down gridlock, I think that could have still gone the way, because then Mint, of course, would have been able to refocus even on the doorway to be able to fight that at the long angle with the ACOG. But at the end of the day, it's Mint and the rest of DarkZero coming ahead. Bar possibly going to be our final sight here. Or could be the start of leading into overtime. DarkZero, I gotta imagine, really trying to focus now, because this is all the chips are down. They have the potential to make this work with how back and forth it's been. They know they can do it. This is their map pick. They've just got to do it. 3 more rounds.
All it takes is one here right now from FaZe, a 6 pick from Cameraman off of the Valkyrie onto the castle, and Cameraman, you know, I like the run out there. Hyper as well, 6 picking over to the Ying.
That's the first Ying we've seen in quite some time, because of some of the nerf. I mean, there are still ways you can play it, but yeah, we're still looking at some of the stats. I think that might be from day 1 or day 2, but 0 Ying picks, not a surprise. So that is going to be a surprise to FaZe. They're not going to know that's coming. Maybe that's what will work. Obviously, some of the discussion might have even influenced that pick, very likely, as this is some kind of a Plan Z strategy at this point.
Plan Omega,
right?
Last one in the wheelhouse.
They had it in the locked suitcase. BKN brought it out.
Houghton also bringing in the Capitao, a new operator we've seen on, or haven't seen on this map at all yet. So DarkZero pulling out all the stops here in a desperation attempt to keep themselves alive here on Coastline. Just a reminder, if we do need to go 3 maps, we'll be going to Kafe as the decider. Right now, FaZe trying to lock it out, though, on Coastline. Make this yet another 2-0.
Here's what I find interesting about the lineup changes. They went from going roam control to let's just take site aggressively. They've got the Yings in. That's mostly going to be for that. Yes, you can use them for other purposes like roam clear and stuff like that, but that's like, let's come in with shock and awe, crossbows with fire and smoke that can't be stopped by ADSs, throw in some candelas, maybe even use them fuse style on those castle barricades if they're in the right position. and just go in hard and
Attackers
heavy and
located
cover
bomb.
it with the gridlock tracks.
It was like Mav inside of office once again, identical to the setup that FaZe brought the last time they defended this site. He's trying to get aggressive towards the office door. Last time he was first to perish on the Brazilian side, but for the North American squad here, they're ready and waiting for any peaks to come out from FaZe. And I imagine if there's any round that FaZe are going to try and play more reserved, it would be this one right here. Mav taking more than half of his health off as he tries to rotate back out now out of blue bar, and Houghton looking in the blue bar window. That's a full rotation from Mav there to get back to site.
Bad timing. A lot of people standing right by that window, too. Not a single one looking at that moment. So Mav getting away with that. Unfortunately, they don't have a doc to heal him back up, but he's got a shotgun. If he's at close range, he'll likely win those engagements.
Mint trying to find a way to deal with this bulletproof camera, and Houghton has the bow out, ready to light up the back of the Sunrise bar. And Ion playing in behind there. Here come the Candelas. This could be a full send from DarkZero right off rip. There goes one. The vault in here from Hyper as he tries to clear at the back of the Sunrise bar. The smoke's disorienting his view, but Mav will get the opening pick onto Hyper. They're all sending it in as Ion is burning alive, dumping all possible utility in towards an attempted plant. Unit makes it all the way to the Sunrise window. Nix with one onto Mav. Now turning and reacting to the pressure outside the windows. Houghton with another one. And a third member for FaZe now will file in on this angle, trying to identify where Houghton has fallen off to. Ion on 1 HP on the site. Astra still playing the Sunrise window as this full send from DarkZero is now transitioned over towards office. It was a Sunrise send for the most part, but now they have to peel out using a lot of their utility early on in a failed attempt on a plant execute.
Well, failed attempt on a plan to execute, but it's certainly softened things up now. And softened back he goes. Astra with a run out on 2 and a pistol finish.
Now it's down to a 2v3 here for DarkZero to keep themselves alive. One member outside of the Sunrise entrance. They've lost control of the diffuser outside of office with the open window looking right at it. BC on 50 HP, just a little bit lower as well as he tries to walk over to recollect. Nix waiting to slowly push his way into the objective, but BC needs to rejoin him. You still have Cameraman applying pressure from inside a courtyard with those kill holes. Walking into blue bar could be a death sentence here for the remaining members of DarkZero. Hitting Elysian Mining Cameraman, toying with the indestructible walls inside of courtyard. Darting back and forth, trying to find the perfect moment to strike as a plant needs to go down, and BC taking plenty of fire. Nix charging through the gates, though, as he'll take down Ion. Cameraman on the trade. Last man standing for DarkZero is BC. Diffuser in hand as he walks straight through in towards the Sunrise main hallway. No time remaining. FaZe Clan and Latin America, you have at least one representative on the main stage. North America 0 for 3.
Fantastic counterplay there to as I said, the shock and awe tactic, just jumping into failed shots left and right. They managed to get kills, but the jump out from the Legion, taking down 2. All your job was to watch windows, and that is where they failed time and time again. Missing Mav as he rotated across. Guess who got the opening kill? Mav. Finishing things off, just failed window control, completely cost them that round, and that's all they were doing was using the windows. Unfortunately, DarkZero costing themselves that round, but fantastic exploitation of weaknesses by all of the members of FaZe. They even had the bulletproof cameras. You saw an evil eye across the room as well. All the smoke in the world, all the candles in the world, they're not going to blind those. They're going to see you coming, and they sure did. Great attempt by DarkZero, but stopped on their map. FaZe proving they deserve to move forward.